Chapter 786 Protagonist, Zhu Rengong 1. Do not be mistaken. Breaking the silence within the scream, the owner of the heavens opens his mouth. You were only supporting roles in the story from the very beginning. Even that was something I arranged with my own hands. Merely chess pieces and ornaments that make the story richer. He gently strokes the rainbow-hued birdcage beside him and looks into the inside of the cage. It looks like there is nothing inside, but it also feels like the emotionless him treasures it most. You do not need hope. Who would expect possibility from mere supporting characters? Zhejiang. At that shocking line, Jian Mianghun collapses to the ground. At the same time, it feels like the absolute dwelling within Jian Mianghun is being suppressed, and something is being born. It is a soul. Jian Mianghun, by paying audience to the future king, has all the hope he harbored crushed by that presence and authority, and his spirit birthed. And, without even giving such Jian Mianghun a glance, Hong Fan begins to curl his finger. Wu Wang. He raises his hand. At the same time, our authorities. No, what we have, believed to be authorities begins to squeeze our necks in their true forms. Truth attainment, causality induction, bridal creation, primal chaos world, paradise guidance, truth manipulation. The Dharma forms that rise from behind my comrades slip out of their control, and begin to choke their necks from behind. No one dies from the choking, but everyone's abilities are greatly constrained, and, pressed under the Dharma forms that appear behind them, they kneel on the spot. So it is. I see now, the heavenly path. It was there from the beginning in the Ender's Tale. From the beginning, it was not our authority. The reason the underworld showed me that story is, though she herself forgot history so could not know, she knew instinctively. She tried, by any means, to process the truth of the future king and the Enders into the form of a fairy tale or a tangwa to show us the truth. The fate we have mistaken for authority, is the heavenly path you have laid out for us. Hong Fan merely looks down at me indifferently and remains silent. It is a silence of affirmation. And I begin to move towards such Hong Fan. He mutters, tell the story. Martial arts is originally, a story. Kariric. The turning wheel mantra rewrites history and, for a brief moment, lulls the Dharma forms that are choking the necks of my comrades to sleep. Of course, even this does not solve the problem, but merely postpones it. Like postponing hope, having thrown the final decisive move as a greeting, you suggest we just sit and chit-chat. What a boring thing that would be, oh heavens. I take a step toward those indifferent eyes. Once again, truth is manipulated. Oh Hai Seo, who uttered her fate. Her abilities, authority, and even her very existence, already belong to the future king. Therefore, her authority tightens around me. It tries to revise my very essence. But I endure through the turning wheel mantra, advance toward him, and level the impermanence sword at his throat. The sword of impermanence filled with starlight touches Hong Fan's chest. Now, let us talk. The talk of martial artists is always not the tongue but something else. Hong Fan raises his hand. Something black rises in his hand. Ego preservation, the shard of the absolute that clung to me, and my authority. No, the fate I mistook for authority. So that is how it is. Only now I understand why I felt such disgust when I looked at the head realm and the future king. From the very beginning, the one who granted the power was you. In accordance with the fragment of the absolute, the world bestows authority upon us. That world is precisely the being before my eyes. He, with silence, expresses affirmation to my question. When I think about it, Kim Young-hoon always reached the same eye level as me. Jaeon Myung-hoon always guided those with ties of grace and resentment through the heavenly lightning banner. Kang Min-hee always put a bridle on herself. Oh Yun-sok was always faint. Kim Yeon always led others toward an ideal. Oh Hai Seo manipulated everyone, and even manipulated herself. I was very stubborn. When I think about it, all of this was fate. It was not simply something like desire. No, perhaps at first it was indeed desire. Once I obtain the clues to infer the truth, I deduce in an instant with the insight of a supreme deity how the fate supreme deity creates the enders, and how our fates and authorities come to be. The owner of fate splits the absolute of miracle within his own hands, then processes it and refines it into the form of fate. Then he lodges it within 7 living beings of another dimension, has them live their lives and accumulate causality, and makes each living being look upon fate by their own standards. Thus, when the causality in the other dimension ends, he brings them to Mount Sumeru and proceeds with the beginning, development, twist, and conclusion of each fragment of the absolute. Through the beginning, development, twist, conclusion, the fragment of the Absolute matures, and gradually, from a simple fragment of the Absolute, the power of joy, anger, sorrow, pleasure, love, hate, and desire, it converts into the proper form of fate that the owner of fate has set. Of course, in my case, because the power of the Absolute fragment was maximized as I underwent death, the Absolute fragment evolved to some extent close to fate from the very beginning and sees the radiance mantra. Putting the Absolute fragment into the flesh of a mortal, and as that life proceeds, sublimating the Absolute of miracle into a power the owner of fate can control. This is the reality of what we call our fate, which I perceive as I face the future King Fate Supreme Deity Hong Fan Jiu Ju, and watch him wield truth manipulation. That is why, when everyone sees the future king who allocates fate, they naturally feel longing and peace. Because, as the beginning, development, twist, and conclusion proceeds, each Absolute fragment sublimates into the form of fate, and so it is practically no different from being in a state of unity with the owner of fate. And because only I did not accept my fate. Because, as I proceeded through the beginning, development, twist, and conclusion, I became broken. Because I did not rashly accept the very origin of desire, I rather remain apart from the subject of fate. Therefore, I instead see fate most objectively, and I intuitively loathe the filthy essence called desire. Am I right? When I ask Hong Fan, who in any case already reads all my thoughts, he opens his mouth. Right, only you. For the first time, he trails off. Stubbornly refused to accept me. And for the first time, he goes beyond reacting to our opinions and begins to speak his own. It is a dilemma. You are supporting roles in chess pieces. At the same time, you are crucial devices to complete the story. Originally, only when the 7 heavenly kings are born can one obtain the miracle. Everything is complete, yet one has gone beyond mere defectiveness and completely went against his fate. Saw, at his emotionless gaze, I feel my chest tighten. Whether I should discard all of you here, or, even if I have to forcibly fit the defective piece, take it anyway. Even as I feel my chest tightening with pressure at those words, I smile slightly. Is it not already decided, my friend? At my next words, Hong Fan's expressionless eyes twitch for the first time. Try to make it fit. Just as you kept trying, and for the first time, managed to get this far, even though you kept trying to guide me and it did not work, maybe you might actually succeed this time. Quote. Sururururu. The fate floats above Hong Fan's hand. The fragments of the Absolute that the future King Fate Supreme Deity released into Mount Sumeru to process into the shape of fate begins to dye his hand black. Just as I fought with an obsidian chain wrapped around my right hand, he uses the Absolute fragment almost like an immortal treasure and raises his hand toward the sword I extend. Quote. If you so wish. True martial arts. Emptiness sword. Third form. I shall face you. The emptiness sword circles. A black wave draws a black and 3 great ultimates around him. As the devil heavenly king, the blackened emptiness sword transforms into radiance itself and flies in. At the same time, inside that strike of radiance, I feel the Absolute fragment of obsidian flicking its tongue as if trying to make a flower bloom with me as its seedbed. The purpose of the attack is utterly transparent. He intends to complete his plan even if he has to forcibly ram into me the fragment of the Absolute that fell away from me and failed to settle. At the same time, I raise the impermanence sword and fly toward the emptiness sword. The impermanence sword circles in the exact reverse direction to the emptiness sword and begins to emit right. Void sword. Third form, light, exclamation mark. His third form, restored by reinterpreting the radiance mantra, confronting radiance hall, and accelerating time. 2 identical techniques collide and cancel each other out. Light explodes, and from the impact, a small heavenly domain forms and collapses between he and I. I shout toward him as he sits. Let us dance, stand up. In his hollow gaze, I am reflected. He speaks. If you so wish. And at last, he begins to stand. Coo-goo-goo-goo-goo. By the mere act of standing, space-time distorts and the surroundings warp. He begins to lift the emptiness sword. Come, let us talk. Hong Fan. I shout, calling my friend's name. At that shout, other friends also begin to rush all at once toward Hong Fan. From the underworld, Kim Young-hoon, Jaeon Myung-hoon, Kong Min-hee, Oh Yun-sok, Kim Yeon, and Oh Hai-seo, laying out their everything. They begin to rush to dance with our friend, Hong Fan. The time we can dance with him is until the power of hope that I let flow and sent away to another spacetime catches up to us again. Exactly 360 days by a mortal's time. For us, it is a time limit no different from an instant. Our dance with him begins. Emptiness sword. Fourth form. Heaven Tien. A simple upward slash. An attack that performs the second form, King Huang, in the exact reverse. Yet that upward slash that comes not by attraction force, but repulsive force, holds in that single strike the power to burn heaven and earth. Thrusting the impermanent sword toward that blade, I begin to face Hong Fan even more directly. With me at the head, my comrades form a formation, gather everyone's strength, and barely deflect heaven, nullifying it. He rushes toward us who have formed a formation. Mount Sumeru, 33rd Heaven, Audience Chamber. Before the jade throne of the king wearing a black Myangwan. Before that great and sacred imperial presence. The memories of the 16th cycle vividly sprout up anew between the attacks of us and the devil heavenly king. 16th cycle. Several years have passed since we settled on Red Moon Island. In that time, the devilish immortal sect alliance including Mokli Cheon Sa completely took root on Red Moon Island and succeeded in absorbing almost all of the existing clans of Red Moon Island. Since Mokli Cheon Sa is also counted as a promising candidate to reach the heavenly being stage, all the various clans through every kind of passes at her, and there are not a few who volunteered as disciples or henchmen and flocked under her cave residence. So eventually, cultivators who claimed to be Mokli Cheon Sa's disciples and henchmen flocked together and even formed a group, and the devilish immortal sect alliance now even sends a message saying that she should not simply be the alliance's nominal leader, but should accept them, formally open a sect, and sit as one of the alliance's seats. Of course, none of the handling of these events even reaches her, who stands on the verge of advancing to the heavenly being stage. I have to take on all of it. She received reports of such letters and situations the first 1 or 2 times, but from then on she threatened that if I bother her again, she would kill me, and told me to handle it as I see fit, so I had to handle everything on my own. Am I cultivator or a grad student? I am old enough to have lived enough as I want, but because faint nightmares from Earth days start to surface for no reason, I shiver. Mokli Cheon Sa's way of thinking is similar to professors who order around graduate students to the point that it reminds me of my Earth days. Damn it, no wonder she accepted a suspicious guy so easily. Maybe I should have noticed and ran away when she started with having me take care of demon insects and demon beasts in the beginning and then even this kind of grunt work. She didn't care whether I was suspicious or gave a bad feeling. She simply needed a fresh, capable slave in the same realm. Hey you, did you deliver the gift to great person Mokli well? What did she say? Hey CO brat, did great person Mokli not say she would send a reply today? Hey, CO Punk, are you really sure you reported it properly to great person Mokli? Starting with cultivators from the Grand Perfection Core Formation stage to the half-step nascent soul stage who come to find me. Great person CO, hee, what do you think about the marriage matter I mentioned? If you enter our clan, we promise every support we can give to great person CO. CO Hung, when a sect opens with great person Mokli at the head, surely CO Hung will take a high post in the new sect. Since you are trusted by great person Mokli to this extent, it is only natural. When that time comes, my sincerity, please remember as I am on the verge of collapse from accepting and sorting out all sorts of solicitations from cultivators reaching even the chi building level. And above all, what drives me mad is Krog, CO Hung, great person Mokli's demon beasts are on a rampage. My younger brother was already eaten. This fucking Mokli Cheon Sa's pet demon beasts. It is the incidents between these insane troublemakers and the cultivators who gather following her. Kaiou, a 3-headed python, San Tu Mang demon beast at the Grand Perfection Core Formation stage runs wild with bloodshot eyes. When I check, 1 or 2 who look like cultivators at the chi building stage are inside its belly. I activate a beast binding, subdue the 3-headed snake demon beast first, and scatter the formless sword. Quack. The treading heavens formless sword spreads out like thorn bushes, pierces the entire body of the 3-headed python demon beast, and takes position so it can take its life at any time. Sensing both the restriction and the crisis to its life at the same time, the beast stops and begins to listen to my words. Gulp, gulp. After a while, it retches and spits out the chi-building cultivators it has gobbled up. What happened? Kahayak, great person CO, thank you. The demon beast suddenly went berserk. That is a lie. The chi-building cultivator who escaped death speaks to me with a pale gaze, and from far away, a spirit wave in the demon race tongue resonates to me. Those human race bastards tried to steal and eat the python's eggs. So the python got very angry. A demon race of the transformation stage, a cat demon beast. The demon beast of the five-colored shadow cat race that Mokli Cheon Sa cherishes. It is the woman with the common name, Osak, 5 colors. I let out a deep sigh and ignite Yin Soul Ghost Curse incantation. Sa. Black curses overflow around and begin to flow into the chi-building thugs. Kuog. Guog. I already know what you stole. What you stole is not simply an animal's eggs, but my master's precious property. As you are thieves who tried to steal my master's property, I shall cast you into curses as you are and make you rot to death. Great person, please spare us. Please spare us, great person. If you want to live, confess your crime yourselves. Proclaim your sins to all and suffer exemplary punishment under my hand. We tried to steal and eat the eggs of the demon beast raised by Elder Mokli Cheon Sa and so, another dizzying day passes again. Night has fallen. A whole day has passed just by mediating between the dog-like Red Moon Island trash and Mokli Cheon Sa's ferocious beasts. At least from night onward, an island-wide prohibition on Red Moon Island activates, so the use of all spells and divine power becomes extremely restricted, making it comparatively quiet. From what I heard, in the distant past Red Moon Island was the true homeland of the devilish path where war and slaughter never ceased. Not a day passed without blood drawing, and every night, the moonlight looked like a moon soaked in blood, a red moon, and thus the name Red Moon Island was given. How severe must the slaughter have been? In the end, a monk from Red Moon Island wielded a powerful divine power handed down in the Buddhist family, stripped the Red Moon Island people of the power of night, and sealed it under the grounds of a temple beneath Sky Island. Since then, prohibition was born whereby at night the power of all divine power and spells becomes extremely weakened regardless of race. Perhaps only the immortal arts of legends or a cultivator at the star-shattering stage has power to that degree. I feed the demon beasts, and I look after their sleeping places. At the edge of the demon beast cave, I come to my cave residence and, looking at the centipede being raised inside, I mutter. Hong Fan is growing quite well. Recently, he readily takes the elixirs I give, and with my help, he has been growing quickly through the demonic power training method written in Mokli Cheon Sa's beast taming secret manual. Mokli Cheon Sa laughed at Hong Fan, but Hong Fan, who has been growing to the point that such mockery is meaningless, has already reached the 4th star of chi refining before I knew it. As long as he reaches the chi building level, his spiritual nature will open up considerably, so communication should become possible. When that time comes, he should show the same genius as in the previous life. Once he reaches that level, I plan to leave Red Moon Island with Hong Fan. The curse of lightning transformation. This accursed curse left by the immortal of heavenly punishment gnaws at my body. Even though I recovered my realm up to the core formation stage before I knew it, in reality thunder and lightning has replaced parts of my organs, and I am dying. Grow up fast and strong, Hong Fan. I feed Hong Fan a realm advancing pill and steady my heart that wants to resolve this curse as soon as possible. Grrrk. And Hong Fan lets out a burp-like sound. Huh, toodoo-doo-doo-dook. At the same time, Hong Fan suddenly molts, and his body that was only the size of a palm becomes more than twice as large. At that bizarre phenomenon, I only stare wide-eyed at the guy. Hong Fan, in an instant, has reached the 7th star of chi refining. And then, are you my master? He starts to talk. My spiritual nature was lacking, so speaking was a bit difficult, but now communication should be a bit smoother. Not only can I not understand how a demon beast at the chi refining 4th star jumped its realm just by eating a few pills. I also cannot understand how a demon beast of the insect lineage without any special bloodline has its intellect awakened and speaks just at the chi refining 7th star. Not knowing what on earth this situation is, I can only blink. Was it like this in my previous life too? It does not seem so. It is when I blink my eyes. Do not be surprised, master. The essence of chi is explosion, and explosion is a phenomenon that occurs as something called fate descends from a higher dimensional layer to a lower dimensional layer. That is, if one understands one's fate, it is easy to draw the power of fate down to a lower dimensional layer and amplify the power of explosion. All the more so if one is a demon race that mainly cultivates the power of explosion. Therefore, with the minimum spiritual energy to trigger fate, which is about the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the 3rd star of chi refining, you can draw power from fate in the higher dimensional layer as much as you like, amplify your energy, and you can easily pull up and raise lower cultivation realms. However, due to lacking spiritual nature and intelligence and to tolerate several errors, I made the attempt at around the chi refining 4th star level. Quote. Hong Fan starts to make sounds from start to finish that I cannot understand at all. Anyway, from breaking away from the vestige and layering the mantra 6 times, I have bathed in light sufficiently. I have also recovered my memory and intellect to some extent, so from now on, I will protect Master. Quote. He did get bigger than before, but still, this tiny centipede flailing his antennae and saying he will protect me is a fluttering feeling I will never forget. Present, with me at the head, the formation my comrades arranged begins to be completed. It is the 6 harmonies formation that suppresses heaven and earth in 4 directions. Clang, Kong Min he sits at the earth bearing and, using shadow as ink, begins to paint something. With the motion of her hands, the rank of existence we possess becomes further sealed. Our forms, which are metaphysical in existence, become more distinct and are fixed into even more physical shapes. Our appearances become defined according to the tanguish she paints. However, even though the rank continues to be sealed, Hong Fan's expression is indifferent. Rather, he overwhelms all of us single-handedly and shows us despair with only the pure power of martial arts. Suat, surpassing radiant Genesis form, 6th form, golden speed heavenly king, Kim Young-hoon's head shines gold, and he becomes a pung bird. He becomes the very heart itself, transcending all divine providence and causality, space and time. And the next moment, surpassing radiant Genesis form, final form, TSTSTSTSTs. From that state, Kim Young-hoon begins to accelerate even more. Golden Great Thousand World. In an instant he marks Hong Fan's rear and he explodes. A true speed of undying that surpasses Hyeon Mu. The true light of surpassing radiance. That nothing can catch up to intends to arrive to this place. Or so we thought. Is that all? Apex of movement techniques. True martial arts, Black Heaven, Jen Wu Zan Tien. Perception cuts off. In an instant, Kim Young-hoon's rear is again marked by Hong Fan. Void speed. It is Hyeon Mu's method for reaching undying, a reverse law whereby the more one empties power, the faster one becomes. If power is infinite, speed decelerates to the speed of light, and if power approaches 0, speed accelerates to infinity and reaches undying. The opponent before my eyes is the Zero King in whose heart nothing exists. The god of emptiness. Ah, I realize in an instant. The future king fate supreme deity Hong Fan Ji Ju. He is the original owner of all the martial arts Hyeon Mu has. He is the original protagonist of the achievement Hyeon Mu used for heavenly venerable advancement. Restrictions like the 4 steps that apply to a fabricated heavenly venerable like Hyeon Mu do not exist. For he is a being of emptiness that is always empty to the value of 0. That is to say, the undying that Kim Young-hoon reaches by using Golden Great Thousand World is, for him, merely basic speed. Tukwagwang, apex of killing techniques. Hyuksa, Black Snake. I can tell, that technique, for Hong Fan, is not even worthy to be called true martial arts. If I must categorize it, it is a martial technique with the kind of weight that the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts has for me and Kim Young-hoon. Countless snakes hiss and sweep over Kim Young-hoon like a waterfall. Hyeon Mu's true martial arts, the martial techniques of the dance of emptiness, explode in a single instant. Through that single martial technique Kim Young-hoon's whole body cannot even react and is torn away, scattered like trash. Gua, Oh Yun-sok, with a pale face, completes the charging of Azure Wing heavenly shatter through the gap Kim Young-hoon creates, and unleashes power. Jaeon Myung-hoon lifts his spear, barely overcomes fear, and prepares a full power thrust. Red lightning heavenly tribulation ultimate will. Entering heavens beyond the path. 80 quadrillion lightning tipped spear. Azure Wing heavenly shatter. 0 wing, nameless one fist. And then, Hong Fan begins to inhale. Apex of internal energy methods. Darkness world, it is the end. Likewise, it is something not even worth to be called true martial arts. If I compare it to myself, it is not even the impermanent sword, but a method at the level of crystal glass to treading sea. At that single method, Jaeon Myung-hoon and Oh Yun-sok, as if bewitched, gaze at the tip of their spear and the end of their fist. The energy, the will, the strength that gathers in their hands. And the very history of those techniques itself wither away powerlessly. Jaeon Myung-hoon and Oh Yun-sok instantly forget what they are about to do and, like fools, just stand there stupidly staring at the opponent before their eyes. Causality. No, the colossal law called the law of causality itself, with a single breath of Hong Fan, is sucked toward him. The heaven, earth, and heavens above transform into a heaven and earth of avidya, and I can feel the restraints imposed upon by Kong Minhee and my great mountain pressing down unravel layer by layer. Kong Minhee, struck by backlash from the Tangwa painting method, spits blood, rolls up her eyes, and heads toward death. His existence that was pinned down to the realm of the physical begins to loosen again into the metaphysical. An internal energy method that sucks in the law of causality without limit and devours it. It is the most terrifying internal energy method, one I have never even conceived of, and one I must not even imagine. The enemies who face him forget why they must fight him. They even forget the techniques they accumulated to fight him. Since causality itself is being sucked away, there is nothing to be done. Emptiness sword third form, applied technique. Kariric. Converting the devoured law of causality into power, the emptiness sword begins to circle centered on Hong Fan. Black, Zon. It is black. Everything is black. And the moment that pitch black darkness ends, I gaze at the true bodies of Jaeon Myung-hoon and Oh Yun-sok flung away with their limbs wildly twisted and snapped. An instant after arranging the 6 harmonies formation to pressure Hong Fan. Kim Young-hoon, Jaeon Myung-hoon, Kong Min-hee, and Oh Yun-sok are annihilated in an instant before I have any chance to do anything. The ones left are Kim Yi-an and Oh Hai-seo. Kim Yi-an joins both hands and forms a unique hand seal that draws a small circle, doing something, and before long Hong Fan reaches the front of her and, with an emotionless face, extends the emptiness sword. Emptiness sword first form. 0. Before I have any chance to step in and block, countless black claws and fangs appear from within the emptiness sword. However, unlike when I used it, those countless irregular-looking claws, fangs, and murderous auras are perfectly disciplined under Hong Fan's will. That decisive technique, which in my hands only ever ripped and tore the opponent to shreds, cleanly severs Kim Yi-an's neck and decapitates her. Not even a single drop of blood flows from her neck. Her head tumbles far away like garbage. Oh Hai-seo tries to do something, but Hong Fan acts as though he does not even care about her. In an instant he appears while stomping her head, and he slams Oh Hai-seo into the floor of the audience chamber and crushes her in. Not even a proper technique is used on her. Having subdued everyone, Hong Fan looks at me. You stayed still until everyone was slaughtered. Do you trust HWE? Realizing my intention in an instant, Hong Fan looks at me with emotionless eyes. I make a bitter smile and perceive the underworld preparing something behind me. The moment the future king rose, the underworld prepared only one thing. I will advance. Guard me. There is only one existence a heavenly venerable can advance to. The position of true emperor, like the future king fate supreme deity Hong Fan Ji-yu-ju. The Western heavenly venerable, netherworld queen mother Bong Hwa thought that only that would create a possibility and has been aiming for it. Step. Hong Fan takes one step closer to me. Just that one action. With that, what I hid and was guarding with heavenly escape is revealed. Ku-gu-gu-gu-gu-gu. Centered on Bong Hwa, down below the audience chamber. Thousands and hundreds of millions of history pour out from the emptiness supreme deity Myung-woon and whirl in a frenzy. The fact that the tiny life form that said it will protect me at the chi refining 7th star in the extremity of slaughter right before my eyes are the same existence. I still cannot believe it. Staring at that face, it feels like even now everything is a prank, only a test, and he is going to crack a silly joke about going to boil some potatoes. But, sure enough, that won't happen, will it? In those eyes, the Hong Fan I know is not there. No, even if he is, it is only a speck. I know nothing about the true Hong Fan. So, from now on, let's find out. I make up my mind to have a sincere conversation with Hong Fan. Come, Hong Fan, my friends were massacred, but without being swept up by that hatred, resentment, and madness, I look only at Hong Fan and focus all will at the tip of my sword. The one behind me is the god of life and death, of history. If the underworld becomes the owner of life, death has no meaning. No, even if the underworld fails, there still remains a possibility to save my comrades. And, looking into my resolute eyes, Hong Fan raises his left hand. In his left hand, he holds the birdcage he has stroked. In the next moment, clang, the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Bong Hwa is confined inside the birdcage. The power of the Akashic records she was drawing up. The origin essence of life, omniscience. The emptiness supreme deity Myung-woon, in whom it is embedded, gives up keeping the Akashic records and becomes shackles that tighten around Bong Hwa's neck, suppressing her power. Ku-gu-gu-gu-gu. Bonghua musters all her strength to escape those shackles, but her power is perfectly offset by the shackles made of the emptiness supreme deity, and she cannot even pierce the birdcage. The birdcage and the power of the emptiness supreme deity amplify from within and completely press down the heavenly venerable of the underworld. The future king fate supreme deity, with eyes whose meaning I can by no means read, looks down and mutters at the shrunken form of the sealed Bonghua. Good. Resist. Struggle. Wu Wang. He gradually floats the birdcage into the void. For only resisting fate is your reason for existence, Hwea. The absolute of history. The Akashic records depart from the embrace of the emptiness supreme deity and also slip out of the advancement ritual of the heavenly venerable of the underworld. The authority of omniscience, inside that Mount Sumeru, shines purely in golden radiance, under no one's control. I speak again, and, before my eyes, the heavenly God who sees the absolute of heaven opens his mouth again. You do not need something like hope. Kugugugugu. The God of light and hope wearing that black Myangwan coldly takes hope from me and prophesizes. I see all your moves. Do you intend to turn back time with auspicious soul filling the heavens and save your friends? I prophesize. You will not complete 3,000 regressions, and I will seize the entire severing heaven sword form whole from you, and you will be killed by your own martial arts. Grasping every last possibility I have hidden, he calmly prophesied. His prophecy is neither grave nor numinous like other true immortals. It is merely one of those words tossed out as if speaking ordinarily. From the start, there is no need to be sacred. For the very standard of all sacredness is the heavens itself. I speak again, do not be mistaken. No matter what you all do, you are only supporting roles. Wu. Freed completely from Kong Minhe's constraint and my great mountain pressing down, he slowly expands once more. A divinity so transcendent that I feel nothing at all. That is precisely the heavens. The true protagonist of the story is not you. An existence who attained the highest Tao. Author's note, protagonist Zhu Rengong, a Buddhist term for a person who has attained the Tao, the fundamental and absolute subjecthood of all sentient beings. Chapter 787 Protagonist, Zhu Rengong 2. I look up at that transcendent, immeasurably distant God of light and hope, and open my mouth. Then, oh heavens, I ask you. He does not answer my question. He only looks down at me in silence. If there is no such thing as hope for us, then why, when you greet us, do you tell us not to lose hope? No answer comes, but I also know this time. This silence, too, is an affirmation. Perhaps that is how it was. You, while acting as my friend through dreaming, separated your main body, chi, soul, and fate, and stuck to us. Why are the fairy tales twisted into happy endings unlike the originals? From the inside of a supreme deity, it is because the chi, soul, and fate that separated from the future king's main body all manifested while the future king dreamed, from within his unconscious, as what he hoped for the most. Unhappy tales became happy tales. The invincible divinity who has no rival became a heavenly venerable called Hyeon Mu, who has much to surpass and much to overcome. The monster who loathes himself became the light that loathes fate. Each aspect he hoped for became the form he desired. The pieces that fell away in his dream were precisely the future king's three faces we have been seeing. Therefore, the instant you awoke from the dream, half asleep and dazed, your true heart slipped out, was that not so? Silence. O God of hope. You pretend to strip away hope, yet instead you bolster our hope. You pretend to plunge us into despair, yet you show only adversity we can bear, so we do not give up entirely. You clearly want us to have hope. You are guiding us so. I do not know the reason. But there is one thing I do know. Kugugugugu. As I see that vast darkness swell enormously before my eyes and looking down on me like a bug, I raise my sword. If I do not hold hope, something becomes troublesome for you, doesn't it? I will not have hope. Kuriririk. Time turns back. Auspicious soul filling the heavens subdues space-time, and we cross over to the 2015th cycle. Within the reversal of time, the comrades who died live again, and we arrive at that moment when we reach the audience chamber. We return to that time when we succeeded in pressing down the future king's main body with great mountain pressing down. And, within the regression I achieved by my own power, I deny head on the fate of the fate supreme deity and declare. In the name of the myriad stars, I prophesize. I shall awaken in the 3001st cycle and prove that you are wrong. Hong Fan's prophecy says I will die without completing 3000 regressions. I, in reverse, prophesize that I will achieve regressions surpassing 3000, and I directly deny the prophecy of the future king. Kuwang. Seated again upon the jade throne, he mutters with expressionless eyes. To face fate without hope. A good hopeful wish. Sururu. He raises his hand. At the same time, I realize something. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. Though time turned back, there are three things that did not. First is the emptiness sword's final profundity, hope. It still chases me from the far side of time. At the same time, the time it takes to reach me has not changed. It has shortened slightly from 360 days. Second is the black absolute fragment covering the right hand of the Fate Supreme Deity Hongfan Jiuju. The power that fixes him in the character not of the owner of fate but of the Devil Heavenly King remains unchanged from before the regression. And third, clang, clang, still within the Fate Supreme Deity's birdcage, with eyes closed, gathering power and resisting, is the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld, the Netherworld Queen Mother Bonghua. A hopeful wish is fine, but I am already beginning to adapt to your auspicious soul filling the heavens. Wu Wang. Through the Radiance mantra, I feel him gradually recovering his grip on space-time. As he learns the nature of my regression, I see the wicked scheme to steadily increase the things that do not apply to the regression of auspicious soul filling the heavens. It seems you hope that only when hope arrives will you be annihilated. But you will die by my hand before hope arrives. What is long and short is always. Emptiness sword. Sixth form. Before I even finish speaking, I die. All links with the myriad stars are cut, I am miserably murdered, and I feel my main body and the heavenly domain that belongs to me tear apart and get slammed into the domain of purity. Future, Wei Lai. From the first form to the fourth form of the emptiness sword, at least their shapes are recognizable. But the sixth form, future, like hope, has its principle, its form, and even the moment it was used all beyond my ability to perceive. About 10 seconds after crossing into the 2015 cycle. Just before I am torn by future and completely annihilated, I turn time again, cross over to the 2016 cycle to preserve my life, and I grip my sword even tighter. Because what that guy in the 16th cycle told me. If it is now, I think I can use it. 16th cycle. Inside the Demon Beast Cave, I stare blankly at Hong Fan, who grew to the Chi building level in a month by sucking down pills and spiritual elixirs. Thanks to the colorless glass sword and the canvas of myriad forms and connections, I too at some point recovered to the early nascent soul stage, but Hong Fan is not on the same level. His is a rise in realm far more overwhelming than mine. This does not feel like a genius. Before I know it, I look at the centipede that has grown taller than me and is approaching the peak of the Chi refining stage, and I ask. Hong Fan, I have something I am curious about. Yes, please speak. No matter how I look at it, it feels like you are not raising your realm, but recovering your original realm. Quote. Hong Fan, please tell me. Are you by any chance a true immortal who lowered his realm on purpose and appeared before me? In truth, Master. I was about to tell you about that anyway. With solemn eyes, Hong Fan speaks to me. In my previous life, it seems I was some quite powerful being. Previous life. Yes. Something black covers it so I do not remember clearly, but perhaps I might have been the true immortal Master speaks of. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. At those words, I flinch and look at Hong Fan. Pajik, Pajijik, I vividly feel the curse of lightning that changes me from within. True immortal. If he is a being of that degree, he is a high and terrifying existence to the point of affecting my regression. Hearing that Hong Fan is such a being, I naturally cannot help but fear him. Quote. If so, Hong Fan. I ask him, perhaps, a true immortal, claiming I disturbed his amusement, might kill me in a single blow and place on a curse at a level similar to the lightning curse, but even so, I must ask. For a being like you, what is the reason you serve me as your master? Of course, you still do not know your previous life's memories, but you clearly explained to me, through the Chi's explosion or whatever, that you know your own fate. Tell me, what is your fate? Hong Fan scratches his head with an antenna. And after a short while, he answers. My fate is, to assist you. To assist me, yes, so that you, Master, walk the right path, walk the right fate. So that under the heavens you can be upright and not ashamed. Following you is my fate. I look at Hong Fan's intent and heart essence. His heart essence is truly bright. It is a bright world filled entirely with light. Seeing that clear, pure, and beautiful heart essence, I cannot dare think he speaks lies. A light so bright and pure that my eyes hurt and it is hard to look directly. If it is a heart essence like this, can I not trust him? Of course, even this could be a trap. At the time when Zhengli and the true immortal of heavenly punishment, suspected to be the owner of Zhengli, descended, I could not read anything from them. It can simply be that even the heart essence is recreated and everything is fabricated. Gulp. Should I trust this being who has such a clear heart essence? Or should I doubt him to the end? Hong Fan. Yes. I look at Hong Fan and speak. I am suspicious. Right, in the previous life, I got burned by a true immortal and it even affected my regression. If Hong Fan truly is the incarnation of a suspicious true immortal, I may once again be toyed with and suffer immense harm. However, at the same time, in the previous life I got burned by Xiao. Emotion is merely the amount of air coming from the lungs. Since the lungs correspond to metal in the 5 elements, perhaps emotion is of the metal attribute. Ho. The sophistry that emotions are nothing but of the metal attribute. An illusion that can be forged at will and fabricated. That was his logic. I cannot trust Hong Fan. But I cannot accept Xiao words. A person's heart cannot be forged. It cannot be replaced with breath. I recall Zhang Ike's words that if a person's heart is metal, metal corresponds to Qian in the 8 trigrams, thus it is the same as the heavens. Yes, the heart is like what the heavens grant. If not the heavens, then at least the heart cannot be forged. I will trust you. It is partly to deny Xiao and partly to accept Zhang Ike's words. But the biggest reason is, because Hong Fan is my connection. In every previous life, it was Hong Fan who helped me. Even if they are not the same existence, since I cannot repay the grace I received from them, it is only humaneness to repay it at least to this Hong Fan. From deep in my chest. Even if in this life Hong Fan truly is a true immortal, I decide never to betray his trust and to believe in him. Even if you are a true immortal, it does not matter. I will believe your words in your heart. I look at Hong Fan with straight eyes. Seeing his heart essence like light, I declare that I will trust him. And, receiving my gaze, Hong Fan lowers his head. Then, for this life, I ask for your care. Master. Right, let us do well from here on. Thus, in that way, we succeed in cementing a bond of trust that is a bit comical and also a bit serious. Star extinguishing true chapter. Yes, Master. It is the method that first came to mind when I thought to protect you. It will suit you very well. Is that the method you say you obtained in your previous life? Yes. I do not know for certain, but for now, as a method to break through the situation Master currently faces, namely the curse of lightning transformation, it is the most suitable. I ponder whether I can block the curse of lightning transformation through the method that Hong Fan says he obtained in his previous life. For now, can I see the formula first before making a judgment? Yes. First, the early section of the star extinguishing true chapter is exclamation mark. What's wrong? As it is a slightly powerful knowledge, trying to hold it in a body at the chi refining stage seems to put a strain. For now, the early section. Among that, I will tell you only about the first star. It is fine, as much as you can. Hong Fan writes down, upon the shed shell he molted, the formula and cultivation method of the method called star extinguishing true chapter that he says came up in his head. The first layer of the star extinguishing true chapter is a cultivation method by which one can obtain power at the chi refining level. However, the important thing is not the level of authority gained through the star extinguishing true chapter. The cultivation method. The method itself is what is important. The cultivation method of the first layer of the star extinguishing true chapter is called by one term. Cutting people, Zon 2. A cultivation that cuts connections. That is correct. For the master to be under the curse of a true immortal means, at present, there is a connection between the master and the true immortal. In that case, yes, if master wishes to escape the curse, you must sever the connection with the true immortal of heavenly punishment. With Hong Fan's help, I am able to find in an instant a way to escape the curse laid by the true immortal of heavenly punishment. However, the problem is the method. Hong Fan, it is written like this in the star extinguishing true chapter, but, am I understanding it correctly? Cutting people. There are 3 ways in total to cut connections, which are as follows. Cutting other, Zon Ta. Kill the other with whom the connection is tied. Cutting self, Zon Wo. Kill the self and become emptiness. Cutting principle, Zon Li. Strike and cut the very principle of causality that is the connection between me and the other, thereby severing the connection. That is right. The methods are, I kill the true immortal of heavenly punishment. I commit suicide, or I strike what is called the principle. Of course, you recommend the last method, right? But what is that principle, and how am I supposed to strike and cut it? Pardon. No, I recommend the first method. Can master not do godslaying? Question mark quote. Question mark quote. Ah, for a moment I am dumbfounded by the difference in perception between Hong Fan and me, but I soon understand. Right, you said memories arose that you were true immortal in a previous life, right? So you must be briefly confused. I apologize, that your master's realm is still shallow. But generally, it is normal that a mortal being cannot kill a transcendent such as a true immortal. It seems Hong Fan, as a true immortal, has killed fellow true immortals a few times. At my words, Hong Fan scratches his head with an antenna with slightly dazed eyes. Ah, I see, I was not particularly criticizing Master's low realm. It is just, since my memories have not fully returned, there seems to have been a difference in perception. Haha, very well, I understand. In any case, I should be grateful that an existence like you is sincerely helping me. Haha, Master flatters me. Master is a person with far greater potential and talent than I. Soon you will soar at a speed that someone like me cannot follow. Quote. I almost grow ashamed at Hong Fan's excessive expectations, but I clear my throat and ask back. So, in any case, I cannot use the method of cutting other. So I seem to have to use the method of cutting principle, but how does one carry out this cutting principle? I understand that Master possesses a sword, is that not so? That is correct. What does Master think is the use of a sword? The use of a sword. A sword cuts. At the same time, it is a weapon that can harm others. To cut, slice, and divide something with it, that is the purpose and meaning for the existence of what is called a sword. Yes, you just cut it with that. Question mark. The principle, yes. I, in any case, feel a need to help a bit more with finding Hong Fan's memories first. Recovering them only roughly and not completely instead seems to poison our communication. Kururum. 2 more months pass. I undergo heavenly tribulation and rise to the nascent soul stage. And, within that short time, Hong Fan also rises to the core formation stage. Even that speed is because Hong Fan prioritized recovering memories over raising his realm. If he had focused on raising his realm, I judge he would have reached the nascent soul stage at the same time as me. At this rate, I am not going to be raised by Hong Fan like livestock, am I? If Hong Fan overtakes me and directly reaches the heavenly being stage, I worry the master-servant relationship will reverse at that time. Let's trust Hong Fan. One way or another, he said he will assist me. Having forged mutual trust with him, I decide to believe that even if he surpasses my realm, he will respect me. Master, congratulations. Ha ha, to think you have already become a nascent soul stage cultivator. That's excessive praise. Your cultivation speed is faster, isn't it? I cannot be compared to Master. Thank you. So, upon reaching core formation, have you recovered your memories a little more? There are still vague parts, but I found parts that are likely to help Master. Ha ha, I like that the early realms can be raised quickly because I am of the demon race, but I think recovering memories would be faster with Heaven Tribe cultivation. I see, that is unfortunate. In my heart, I want to find even a ritual method for Hong Fan, but such a thing is not an easy matter. Yet even though I cannot give the fellow anything, he laughs and hands me his shed shell on which he wrote a certain formula. His shed shell, now is grown as big as a house, flies to me, and I can read the densely written, cutting principle, cultivation formula on that shell. It is a formula by which a mortal being can reach cutting principle. Ho, this seems like, I look at what is called, cutting principle, the cultivation that comes close to a method of striking the principle itself. A combination of the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, and the formless sword. The cutting principle cultivation method is simple. First, it is to practice the method of severing connections. The first stage of the cultivation of cutting principle is to cut the weakest connections. Kururururung. The clouds of the heavenly tribulation that struck down on me scatter, and seeing that, the followers of Mokli Cheon saw swarm this way like a cloud. At the birth of a new nascent soul stage cultivator, they rush to forge a connection by any means. Chalk. Following the formula Hong Fan taught me, I gather energy and bring my hands together in prayer. After taking a pure praying posture, I focus consciousness, intent, and energy between my joined hands. As consciousness gathers between my palms, I feel it condense like a thin thread line. And in an instant, Chicago, I fire that thread line at the grand perfection core formation stage cultivator at the very front who rushes to me to make a connection. The line becomes a slashing strike that cuts through everything and shoots at the cultivator. And the moment it touches them, pot, the slashing strike that flows straight into the cultivator's body cuts the cultivator's intent, flows inside of their heart essence, and cuts the very heart that says they want to meet me. Woodook. They, in the middle of coming to meet me, stops and stands there, looking around with a puzzled face. As if they find it puzzling why they are here. I did not cut their memories, nor did I twist their personality. I merely made the very heart that wants to meet me a little faint. With just that, they no longer bother me and simply leave. I cut the heart, a severing strike that does not kill a person, but scatters a person's heart. Because it requires an enormous, extreme degree of concentration, the moment I succeed at it for the first time, I feel my energy drain right out. Let us end today's cultivation here. Yes, let us do that. Feeling an overwhelming tiredness, I roar toward the lower realm cultivators who rush at me to form ties. All of you, go back. If you trouble me, I will not forgive you. At my threat, the chi-building cultivators hesitate then soon flee. The core formation cultivators try to hold out a bit, but when I put Formless Sword's momentum into the threat, unable to overcome the fear, they too run away. I enter the cave residence and catch my breath. The record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts that attacks intent, wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon that erodes consciousness, and the formless sword that is made of will. It feels as if I unfold all of them at once, yet at the same time it feels like a far higher supreme art. Perhaps it is because I already learned the 3 techniques that I can at least grasp the cultivation method of cutting principle. To directly strike the opponent's heart itself. In a sense, it is a true heart sword. It is a terrifying divine power. At the same time, I consider whether, with this, it might even prove effective on someone with a monster's heart like Seo Whale. This is not the time to be pondering about that. At the same time, I realize the cultivation of this cutting principle is nothing more than the basics to proceed to cutting people, and I sigh. I have not even properly initiated into the first layer of the star-extinguishing true chapter. Hong Fan, for now, I do understand well the power of this thing called cutting principle. It is powerful as expected, is it not? However, if I truly continue this cultivation that severs the opponent's heart in this manner, can I truly sever what is called principle? Honestly, I feel a bit uncomfortable with this cultivation method itself. In a way, it is a cultivation that directly denies the enlightenment of my canvas of myriad forms and connections. Therefore, if I cannot truly sever the curse of the true immortal with this cultivation, I am directly denying my enlightenment and have no choice but to be captured by a powerful heart demon. What relation does the heart and principle have, that by repeating the severing of the heart, one can come to sever the principle? At my words, Hong Fan nods and explains. Heavenly mandate is what the heavens set. Life is what the earth bestows. That is right. Then, Master, is connection something bestowed by the heavens, or bestowed by the earth? I ponder that topic, then I answer, aligning it to the enlightenment Jang it gave me. The heavens and the earth. I think it is bestowed by both. Correct. What everyone holds is connection. But if so, at the same time, does it not mean that connection is also nowhere in particular? In the end, what makes connections form is neither the heavens nor the earth, but merely the recognition and hearts of those who will form them. It is the hearts of people who live between the heavens and earth who decide connections. Hong Fan draws something on the ground. It is a net. Thus, the connections that begin from the heart of people soon come to hold even the heavens and earth within its embrace, making everything connect. The cognition and recognition of people, their wishes, become the net of connections and becomes the law of causality that entangles all phenomena. Some call this Indra's net. Indra's net. I have seen it once in a scripture of the Cheonmin clan long ago. They say there is a god called Indra. It is said that the god's net has a jewel attached on every mesh, and because one jewel reflects all the other jewels, it is a net that shows everything in this world is related to each other. Everything in this world is connected. Chi, soul, and fate, in truth, are all one, are they not? In fact, everything is joined as one. So, by starting from cutting people's hearts, if you can come to see a more and more deepened world, perhaps someday you can sever the very thread of connection itself. To sever connections. I feel a strange sensation at those immense words, and I ask a question. Are you saying that simply by practicing the workings of the heart, one can sever the principle of the world that is called connection? At my doubt, Hong Fan's antennae twitch. Somehow, that sight looks like a faint smile. It is difficult to obtain a human's body, and it is difficult still to realize the Tao. From his mouth, an aphorism flows out. Why is it? Following the human heart, one seeks the root of the Tao. It feels like something I have heard before and yet also something I have never heard. But at the same time, it is an aphorism that bears a distant, dizzying profundity. The root of every Tao lies in the person's heart. It means that if one gains a person's body, if one gropes forward along that heart, one can someday obtain the Tao. Quote. Let us polish the heart together as you go. If you do so, someday you will be able to reach even the realm that is called principle. Hearing those words, I feel as if some sediment that sits in a corner of my heart washes away. Right, the heart touches principle. It is a path by which one can grope along the root of the Tao. The powerful pressure Co Wei gave me, and that sophistry that discussed the emptiness of the heart. Even if Zhang Ike's enlightenment washed away part of that sediment and frustration, it could not completely shake off the lingering discomfort. But upon hearing Hong Fan's aphorisms and his interpretation, I naturally come to shake off Co Wei's logic that remains in my heart. Thank you. Thanks to you, I was able to blow away the heart demon that remained in a corner of my heart. I am glad it could be of help. If someday Master succeeds in severing connections through the heart, Master will be able to sever the curse of the true immortal of heavenly punishment and become free. Freedom. Hearing the words of freedom, and the words of severing connections, I ponder whether the freedom found by severing connections is truly right. Please do not think too complicatedly. Just think of it as another way of cultivating the heart. To sever connections, you say. When I look at him with a slightly worried gaze, Hong Fan once again expresses a smile with his antennae. This is the latter half of the aphorism I just recited to Master. I think it will be of help, so I will recite it. Then, he once again lets out that dizzying aphorism. If this body cannot achieve transcendence in this life, when shall I wait again to transcend this existence? I tremble as I hear that aphorism. When shall I wait again, to transcend this existence? The final aphorism strikes me far more directly than the earlier ones. How many things have I lost by missing the time? Even when I rose to peak master, I missed the enlightenment of that time and blew away an entire life. Even in the life with Hyunghwa, I blew away several years because I did not say a single word of love, and let her be murdered. Right, I understand what you mean. I speak while I feel the curse of lightning transformation. As one lives life, there are surely things that must be cut off. If anything, there are things that become all the more grueling if one misses the time. By failing to decisively cut off what must be cut off, the curse could even pass on suffering to others. If this body cannot achieve transcendence in this life, when shall I wait again to transcend this existence? I will engrave it deep in my heart. It is an honor for Master to lend an ear to my counsel. But, I suddenly tilt my head, feeling that the aphorism Hong Fan recited is uncomfortably familiar. No matter how I think about it, I feel like I have heard this aphorism somewhere. Jaeon Myung-hoon or Kim Young-hoon, I think I have once glimpsed it in media they occasionally saw on Earth. Hong Fan, do you by any chance know where you have heard this aphorism? At those words, Hong Fan laughs heartily. In my previous life, I seem to have wandered a bit through several worlds. I think I heard it in one of those places. Because they are words that profoundly resonated with me, I remember them. But I do not quite remember where. I see. I tilt my head and nod. Indeed, there are various worlds including the middle realms. It wouldn't be strange even if there is an aphorism similar to Earth's in one of those worlds. It is merely a coincidence that came up by probability. Anyway, I understand. I appreciate the good counsel. And I will continue the cultivation of cutting principle as well. I press my palms together and begin to continue the cultivation of cutting principle. For now, it is only a cultivation that just makes the heart a little hazy. But someday, with this single cultivation method, I will be able to sever principle itself. By the way, Hong Fan, have you perhaps, the present? I put my palms together and half open my eyes. Cutting, keying, the heavenly domain concentrates and compresses in my hand like a line. Soon, the compressed line shoots straight forward. Principle. In the 16th cycle, I asked him that question. By the way, Hong Fan, Have you perhaps learned the star-extinguishing true chapter? As I see it, this seems completely different from the heaven and earth immortal cultivation system, so if you also learn it, would it not help you find your memories? The star-extinguishing true chapter is also a method I discovered somewhere during my previous life. It is an excellent method, but personally, I did not like its offensive power. Offensive power, yes. Therefore, I did not bother to learn the star-extinguishing true chapter. Instead, I modified the star-extinguishing true chapter and, in exchange for abandoning its stability and senses to the extreme, I created and used another method that maximizes killing power and offensive power. If you extremely abandon stability and senses, does it not rather become harmful? That is correct. But, I think of it like this. No matter how unstable and indistinct in sense a method may be, if the wielder perfectly grasps the principle of that method and seizes all the structures that constitute its instability, then side effects such as being unstable or losing one's sense are in fact as good as not existing, are they not? Is that so? Well, fine. If you have the talent to handle it, it should be no problem. Then, what is the name of that method? I named it thus: Apex of Internal Energy Methods. Darkness World, Chicago. The technique of cutting principle seems to get sucked straight into the darkness, and as if nothing exists, it passes straight through Hong Fan at the center of the darkness and flies on. What do you intend to do by attacking me with what I taught you? Quote. I simply smile. The strike of cutting principle is used only to prove something. What do I prove? You may be endlessly close to omnipotence, but you are not omniscient, are you? Hong Fan looks at me expressionlessly. If I hide the true intent with heavenly escape and fire it, even you cannot know everything. The strike just now was one fired by mixing heavenly escape into the technique of cutting principle. Only then does Hong Fan, realizing something, look back. Bong Hua, imprisoned behind Hong Fan. On the surface of the cage that imprisons her, a faint slash mark is drawn. You sneered that not holding hope and opposing fate is merely my hopeful wish, did you not, Hong Fan? You taught me, if this body cannot achieve transcendence in this life, when shall I wait again to transcend this existence? Wu Wang, strength enters the hand gripping the sword. The consciousness domain that has become heavenly domain stabilizes around me. Hope that may or may not come someday. I do not need it. Right now, at this moment, if I can achieve transcendence, that alone is enough. Through the teaching Hong Fan taught me, I shout as I directly deny Hong Fan's enlightenment. Did you tell me to have hope? I do not need it. For I, in this very moment, am saved, and am being saved. Nothing is taken for granted. Time that has passed does not return. Therefore, this very now, which is never taken for granted, is the greatest miracle to me. Twitch. At my declaration, for the first time a reaction finally appears on the face of expressionless Hong Fan. I cannot read all the workings of that heart, but with the insight and intuition of a supreme deity, I can discover something. The future King Fate Supreme Deity Hong Fan Jiu Ju is, for the first time, displeased. Is the enlightenment of hope something that does not get through to you? Yeah, I am. Then that is enough. Let us stop playing. And Hong Fan raises his hand dyed black. Suat. The black dyed hand returns to its original state. I will show a bit of sincerity. He throws off the rank of the Devil Heavenly King. Only then can I tell that it was, rather, nothing but a restriction upon him. Greeting as truly as the future king, he begins to exert his power. Descend upon my hand, immortal treasure radiance supreme deity. The emptiness sword elongates, and the entire emptiness sword begins to be covered in radiance. That is, great forest, flower plant, great sun, torch candle, pearl jade, great sea, rain dew. The spirits of the radiant seven immortals, whom I revived, get sucked into his hand without even being able to resist and wail. Amidst the screams of the heavenly lords who once reigned as the guardians and rulers of Mount Sumeru, he takes his stance. A throwing stance. That is, in Silver Basket's memories, the strike with which the future king skewered and killed Silver Basket. True martial arts emptiness sword. Fifth form. Pot. I have to dod. Upper. Zhejiang. One strike. By that one strike, my body is pierced through and I die. Auspicious soul filling the heavens. Kuriririk. Right before I completely perish, I once again narrowly turn back time with auspicious soul filling the heavens. The 2017th cycle once again. Kukwik. Quote. Exclamation mark question mark quote. The moment I think so, I am pierced and killed again by the fifth form of the emptiness sword, upper. Kuririlek. Once more, I turn time back with auspicious soul filling the heavens. And then, Kukwik, once again, I get skewered and killed by that spear of light. Only then do I realize. This attack, the fifth form of the emptiness sword. This technique is thrown beyond regression itself. Kukwagwagwagwik. Thus, in an instant, the cycle count of regression through auspicious soul filling the heavens begins to shoot up like mad. Chapter 788 Protagonist, Zhu Rengong 3. 2050th cycle. I try to block the move of upper by attempting the auspicious soul filling the heavens applied ultimate technique, heaven of neither perception nor non-perception. But it is impossible. In that brief span, he evolved. When he first used hope, the future king and I were facing each other with our main bodies for the first time, and auspicious soul filling the heavens was also a technique that had only recently been completed. Therefore, through auspicious soul filling the heavens, I could defer hope for a moment. And because I could defer the final ultimate technique hope, I thought I could let flow or deter other decisive moves as much as I like. It was a delusion, as if it is no lie that he grasped auspicious soul filling the heavens to a certain extent in that short time. His emptiness sword evolves in an instant, digs into the gaps of auspicious soul filling the heavens, and hounds me tenaciously. If he uses hope once again, I have no doubt that I will be chased down in an instant and be killed. That's right, he is still only playing with us. Your ultimate technique was one that evolves to any extent in order to survive, was it not? Remembering the attribute of the void sword, I look at the evolution of the emptiness sword. With only that brief thought, I am already at the 2100th cycle. If I keep wasting time like this, Hong Fan's prophecy will come true. With an opponent who evolves near infinitely in an instant as my enemy, how do I face him? It is simple, I too must evolve. However, I know myself well. With only my own strength, I am always nothing more than a miserable senile old man. What has always helped me grow is Xiao Unyun, clench, the moment of death. At that time when I regress again and cross over time, there is a hand grabbing my shoulder. A god of golden light, with wings of light. It is Kim Young-hoon. In Kim Young-hoon's other hand, from Jaeon Myung-hoon to Oh Hai Seo. All my comrades are all linked together and are following my regression together. No complicated words are needed. Use it. That one phrase is enough. With that phrase, Kim Young-hoon turns golden and begins to be sucked into the impermanence sword. In that moment, I evolve by one step. Suat, the principle of sword god dance naturally draws in Kim Young-hoon and settles him in my blade. At the same time, I become a light faster than anything. Golden great thousand world, pot, only now, only by borrowing the martial pinnacle that Kim Young-hoon reached can I finally contain it within these eyes. I am given the bare minimum of time to react toward the decisive move of upper that chases auspicious soul filling the heavens. The impermanence sword crashes toward upper, lets the power of upper directly flow, reads the true intent contained in that technique, and shatters it. Not yet, a frontal breakthrough with my martial arts is still impossible. If so, I borrow. Humans are weak. Because they are weak, they make weapons, make civilizations, make societies, and at last make connections. The light of the impermanence sword, which has turned golden, changes once more and spews a golden radiance. Gold is added to gold. Splitting emperor splitting heaven, annihilation advancement mu. My sword becomes a golden spear and opposes the black emptiness sword. With speed by Kim Young-hoon's soul, with destructive power by GWAKAM's last will, squeezing out all strength, I push back upper. At last, Jaejeong, light explodes, and the impermanence sword and the emptiness sword explode. Geek. I get shoved far back by the rebound force. However, in the end the recoil loses its strength, and I come to a stop in place. I too will evolve. I will not be the only who stops in place. And, at my declaration, Hong Fan speaks a single phrase with emotionless eyes. If devouring the spirits of your companions to grow is evolution, then it is evolution. Quote. Do not be ashamed, for that is originally your talent. Quote. My talent. I let out a hollow laugh. What a joke. Isn't my talent the lack of talent? Woo. With empty eyes, he speaks. At his following words, I cannot help but flinch. Rather, I want to ask. I clearly gifted you the heavenly devil body Tianmo GT. When the absolute fragment you receive descends to the plane of Qi, the body is not something as simple as the stubborn Xiao Unyun. Quote. At those words, I look at him and speak. If that is true, shouldn't I have been noticed right away by the devilish sect, the Black Ghost Valley? If you had learned devilish arts even once properly, If there had been even one time you sacrificed others with an unburdened heart to accumulate your realm, the talent of the devilish would have awakened and you surely would have noticed. Your talent is one that can devour and rule over the myriad devils. Only, the one who did not learn devilish arts is you. At those words that are like thunder in a blue sky, I am dumbfounded. Single quote. That kind of talent was in me. The answer comes right away. It was. I am the one who bestowed it, how could I forget? Quote. The very fact that you so joyfully learned the star-extinguishing true chapter, and the fact that you learned the phenomena-extinguishing mantra so quickly, is proof. For both are methods and mantras worthy to vie for the seat of the strongest, worst, and greatest devilish art. Quote. What are you? The phenomena-extinguishing mantra is. It is the highest devilish art. How the phenomena-extinguishing mantra can be used so viciously, did GWAKM not prove it? Did your senior brother not properly teach you its usage? ISHALLTEACHYOUPROPERLY. That usage back then. At Hong Fan's continuing words, I cannot help but make a bitter smile. Quote. And the star-extinguishing true chapter likewise is a powerful devilish cultivation method not inferior to that. You must surely remember, that cultivation of severing connection, did you not learn it most joyfully and happily? That is so. At that time, I surely practiced the cultivation of severing connection with great pleasure. 16th cycle. I keep practicing the cultivation of cutting principle. The practice targets are, of course, the devilish cultivators of Red Moon Island who keep bothering me. Shwikik. Starting from those who keep making requests to me, to those who put in requests to Mokli Cheon Sa. Every time numerous devilish cultivators come, I, through cutting principle, disarray their hearts regarding the relationship they tied to me. That CO guy. For some reason, I don't want to bother him today. Fine, farewell, I will go to another fellow. A cultivator at the early nascent soul stage, who came looking for me every day to put in a request to Mokli Cheon Sa and to pester me, stopped bothering me the moment he was hit once by cutting principle. Others are the same. All those who formed a shallow connection with me, one by one, began to lose interest in me due to cutting principle. Of course, as a counter-effect, their interest shifted to another. It is Hong Fan. You Hong rascal, did I not tell you to deliver the letter to great person Mokli? You Hong punk, did you deliver well the gift to great person Mokli? Hong brat, why do you not come running promptly? Brother Hong, though as human and demon our races are different, if it is Brother Hong who is close to the transformation stage and trusted by great person Mokli, I can even introduce my daughter to you. HMPH, merely a daughter. I can even offer our aunt. She has not married, but that is all because she focuses on cultivation, so now she is at the grand perfection core formation stage. Everyone, get lost. Hong Orabeoni is mine. Great person Hong. My friend was eaten by the demon beasts of great person Mokli. Please save him. At some point, Hong Fan took on the role of Mokli Cheon Sa's close aide in my stead and almost replaced the place of Co Unyun. In the eyes of others. What's more, because he even handles matters better than I do, all I have to do is organize the tasks Hong Fan handles and bring them before Mokli Cheon Sa's cave residence. As I practice cutting principle, my presence gradually grows faint, and Hong Fan's presence soars. I am able to focus even more on cultivation and search for a way to undo the curse of lightning. Keying, I press my palms together and feel will gathering between my hands. Gradually, I am getting a sense of how to cut down what is called the heart. If I look at it broadly, can't this also be seen as a heart sword? No, perhaps in truth the meaning of the term heart sword fits this side even better. To think the heart sword is merely the basics of cultivation, truly. I let out a hollow laugh as I feel the absurd difficulty of the star-extinguishing true chapter. I do not know who created the method called the star-extinguishing true chapter. But what is certain is, this was clearly not made for mortal beings to learn. A transcendent, is it a method at the level of true immortals? However, even to call it a method at the level of true immortals is strange, as it states that one star can produce only the power of the chi refining stage. Why would a true immortal ever need power at the level of chi refining? Well, it doesn't matter anyway. I continue practicing the star-extinguishing true chapter. Among its parts, as I continue the cultivation of cutting principle, there is something I can feel. It is precisely the fact that this method called the star-extinguishing true chapter suits me quite well. It's easy to learn. Each and every cultivation procedure of the method goes straight into my head, and the way of cultivation suits me far too well. The sublimation of the three combinations of the wonderfully mysterious innate heart canon, the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, and the formless sword is this very cultivation method of cutting principle. That is to say, for those who have not learned those three, this is difficult to learn, but for an existence who has learned the three beforehand, learning cutting principle is not particularly difficult. The more I perform the divine power of cutting principle, the more I can see my progress surging forward, so how could it not be fun? With a very delighted heart, I keep learning the method. Until now, including martial arts, I have never thought I have much talent in the entirety of immortal cultivation methods. But at least for this thing called the star-extinguishing true chapter, I feel I have talent. So I too have a field, in which I have talent. To dig into a field one has talent truly seems to be a fun thing. And finally, when I cut down everyone on Red Moon Island who more or less knows me and cut away everyone who formed shallow connections with me. Kurung, Kurururung. At last, the day approaches. Mokli Cheon Sa challenges the heavenly being stage advancement. Kurururung. Clouds draw over the sky. The ominous clouds that will bring down heavenly tribulation are sending out the omen right before they cast down heavenly lightning. Yuring, Yururung. I watch that heavenly tribulation and listen to Hong Fan's counsel. It is today. Right, all the shallow connections on Red Moon Island are severed. Now it is time to cut down a slightly stronger connection. If it is Mokli Cheon Sa, who possesses the great CI divine power, performing cutting principle by ambush is impossible. I must aim for a proper opportunity and sever the connection clearly. And by severing the connection toward a cultivator at a high realm, I can explore the essence of an even deeper connection. As preparation to sever the connection with the true immortal of heavenly punishment, the optimal course is to perform the cultivation of severing connections during the period of heavenly tribulation. Hong Fan, you are holding the bindings over the demon beasts, right? Yes. Proceed without worry. I move forward in silence. In the distance, I see Mokli Cheon Sa rising under the gloomy clouds. I see countless demon souls rising around her. They seem to be the spirits of the demon beasts she raised. Wu Wang. The spirits of the demon beasts vary widely from chi refining to core formation, and those innumerable spirits, linked to each other, concentrate their power into a single existence at the center. Mokli Cheon Sa gathers the power of the demon souls that form a circular formation centered on her and supply her with strength, and, revealing an overwhelming might, she begins to shout toward the sky. Outwardly, she clearly bears the appearance of a human woman. Yet within her shout, it seems as if the roars of countless demon beasts burst out together. At the same time, heavenly tribulation begins to fall. Kurururung. Alright, Hong Fan, here I go, while she is too occupied facing the heavenly tribulation head-on. Aiming for that gap, I thrust in cutting principle. I am sorry, I feel a twinge of guilt toward Mokli Cheon Sa as I fly toward her. I know it myself. As long as the connection between the true immortal of heavenly punishment and me remains this strong, those related to me may suffer some vicious misfortune at the hands of the true immortal of heavenly punishment. Over the past few years, living alongside Mokli Cheon Sa, I came to know that although she is a figure of the devilish path, she is not of the same extreme evil as Yuan Li or the Mokli clan. Therefore, if I rather intend to protect Mokli Cheon Sa who has become my connection, it is more right to sever the connection between us now. Moreover, it is clearly a relationship only formed on the surface. She taught me almost nothing, and even the little she taught was to make use of me. There is barely any affection, and she is merely a transactional partner, but still, a teacher is a teacher. I will never forget you. One way or another, today. It will be the first time that I, before my master, sever the connection as a disciple. I deeply engrave her figure into the canvas of myriad forms and connections, swear to never forget, and prepare cutting principle. Is it betrayal? Is it because she reads the celestial energy that I intend to attack? With a cold voice, Mokli Cheon Sa begins to form a hand seal within the heavenly tribulation. I am sorry, however, it will not interfere with your heavenly tribulation, so please forgive me. HMPH, as long as you hold the status of my disciple, you and I are both devilish cultivators. What those of the devilish path speak, even the same devilish path does not believe. Wu Wang. From her hand seal, a powerful spiritual wave spreads out and then changes into a familiar signal. She commands her own tamed demon beasts. Attack Xiao Unyun. Kugugugugu. Like a swarm of bees, demon beasts burst from Mokli Cheon Sa's cave residence and begin to roar. Among them are Osak, the five-colored shadow cat demon beast at the early nascent soul, and Wal Rang, a celestial dog race demon beast at the mid-nascent soul. It is practically a situation where I must endure the simultaneous assault of several cultivators of the same level. Moreover, even the binding for controlling demon beasts, which I link to myself to manage the demon beasts on behalf of Mokli Cheon Sa, goes into a fit and comes into reverse erode me. Kong. However, since I transferred most of the authority and function of the bindings to Hong Fan, I undo the seal without issue and block the reverse corrosion. In that state, I begin to use cutting principle. In any case, I wouldn't have been able to use cutting principle directly at Mokli Cheon Sa from the beginning. The first targets are the demon beasts. The ones I tended with utmost care for several years. The fellows I accumulated far more affection with than Mokli Cheon Sa's followers on Red Moon Island. Shwikik. Cutting principle flies toward the three-headed python demon beast. The demon beast lets out a scream, but soon in its gaze toward me, emotions such as killing intent and old affection and the like vanish all at once. Now the reason it attacks me is simply because of Mokli Cheon Sa's order. Wu Wang. Heaven Dao Nascent Soul. The nascent soul built with the Heaven Dao method resonates. Earth Dao Nascent Soul. The nascent soul built with demon beast methods merges completely with the Heaven Dao Nascent Soul and amplifies strength. Formless Sword. Upon the Heaven and Earth Nascent Soul, the energy of the Formless Sword overlays. I feel the three powers complement one another and the power surge fiercely. It's become solid. The strength of my nascent soul becomes in effect equal to that of a grand perfection heavenly being stage cultivator's nascent soul, allowing me to draw out immense spiritual power at once. Kugugugu. I receive the assault of the demon beast horde. I evade with record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, deflect with formless sword, and, along with the azure spirit starlight quintessence great method, I actively apply the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon and demon beast methods to shake off the demon beast horde with my bare body. And I keep subduing their minds through cutting principle, severing their ties with me. The lower realm demon beasts have their ties with me snap away in an instant, and even the higher realm demon beasts have their ties cut one by one. What remains now are only Wal Rang of the celestial dog race and Osak of the five-colored shadow cat race. Kururururu. Wal Rang casts off the transformation form, transforms into a sprawling white dog, and howls. Kuar. The celestial dog that drinks in the moonlight charges. Meeting eyes with that house-sized dog, I, in a single moment, simultaneously unfold the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, and the formless sword. In an instant Wal Rang's spirit is suppressed, and beyond the suppressed spirit, the divine power of cutting principle flies again. Chukwagik. Wal Rang faints on the spot and the connection with me is cut, and I, left with the last one, meet eyes with Osiok, who still maintains the transformation form. She of the spirit cat race, perhaps probing me, does not easily rush in. Instead, she only asks a question. Why did you betray Master? It is not betrayal. Among the demon beasts I touched, are there any who died? How would I know? Maybe with some bizarre divine power you planted GU poison in their bellies, or left a prohibition or brand on their minds to lay some curse. I know very well you are someone skilled in curses, so you think I'll believe your words. No need to know the before and after. Just looking at the current situation makes it all too clear, traitor. I have no excuse. I put on a bitter smile at this very situation where, one way or another, I must sever ties with my master. But in the end, it is unnecessary. I must sever the tie. At least, in this lifetime. So that I no longer harm anyone precious. I must sever the tie, to be able to move on to the next. I must save Jaeon Myung-hoon and the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect someday. If I am not to let Jaeon Myung-hoon go mad and become a slaughter devil, I must also resolve the Heavenly Lightning Banner. If I leave the Heavenly Lightning Banner alone, it will someday bring again that monstrous true immortal of heavenly punishment. I cannot let it be like that. I also need a way to cut connections. What must be cut? I must surely cut, so that Zhengli and the true immortal of heavenly punishment do not annihilate Jaeon Myung-hoon and the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. So that Jaeon Myung-hoon does not become a slaughter devil and, trying to save Yi and Jin who was my friend, wretchedly go mad. I have my circumstances. I cannot make you understand. If they are spoken aloud, they come. That is the trait of true immortals. Therefore, I will only remember you. What are you babbling, you cowardly traitor? Osak raises her claws and rushes in human form. Kuriririk. She is a powerful nascent soul stage demon beast. But to I whose heaven, earth, and heart have all reached the nascent soul stage, or a realm equivalent to it, she cannot compare. Pot. Suppressing seek in an instant, I place my hand over her heart and speak. I will not forget you. I am sorry. Flash. Her figure is recorded in the canvas of myriad forms and connections, and cutting principle cuts the connection between me and her. The hatred in her heart, which has been full toward me the betrayer, subsides in an instant. With her spirit subdued by me, she closes her eyes and mutters a single line. Quote. Damn, servant, since she is a cat demon beast, perhaps she perceived me as no more than a servant who brings food. Yet, however it may be, I feel that in her own way she treated me very closely. A bitterness I never felt for all the others with whom I weaved shallow ties, after cutting my connection with her, surges all too strongly. Quote. At the same time, within that bitterness, I can see something else. It is a net, sought, star extinguishing true chapter, first layer. I thought it was a foolish method that at most granted power at the chi refining level. It wasn't. The more I carry out the cultivation of cutting people, the more I become alone. Standing purely and alone in this world, I gradually see the essence of the world itself. A net. I feel an unknown shiver as I think that the laws that make up the essence of this world faintly appear in the form of a net. I can tell instinctively. At the first layer of the star extinguishing true chapter, things like the chi refining cultivation are merely a bonus that follows. The true essence of the first layer of the star extinguishing true chapter is this I. It does not appear clearly, and it appears endlessly hazy. Even that feels so distant it makes me think it is just a delusion, but surely, the world overlaps with some kind of net. And where that net acts upon most directly is heavenly tribulation. It is the heavenly punishment itself that falls straight down from that sky upon Mokli Cheon Sa. They say that somewhere beyond that sky there is a god called Indra. That god's net is called Indra's net, and it is a symbol that shows everything in this world is connected, and it is said to be the very form of this world's law of causality. For a heaven-defying one such as a cultivator, passing sentence in the form of correct divine providence is precisely the law of causality, precisely heavenly tribulation. I know it instinctively. If the god called Indra truly exists, that being as a god is closely tied to that heavenly tribulation as the true immortal of heavenly punishment who cursed me. No, perhaps, they might even be the same being. Let's not think. The more I think of true immortals, the more they are called. I cut the connection with Osak. And I begin to approach Mokli Cheon Sa, who is advancing to the heavenly being stage within the heavenly punishment, to cut the connection with a teacher for the first time. Mokli Cheon Sa's eyes are full of anger, but she cannot flee from me or change the location to a favorable terrain. Your fighting strength is quite good, but you are not considering me on the same level as my demon beasts, are you? Quote. I am sorry, master. It will end in a fleeting instant. Though normally we call each other fellow cultivators, at least for now I decide to call her master. TSTSTSTSTSTSTS. I raise the power of the formless sword and once more prepare the divine power of cutting principle. Ooh, the countless demon souls around her that supply her power howl and begin to amplify her power like an active volcano. Surely, though she is clearly a cultivator of the grand perfection nascent soul stage who is advancing to the heavenly being stage, her power reaches a level comparable to a mid to late heavenly being stage cultivator. As expected, in a frontal clash I am certain to be defeated. Even if I possess the strength to leap over realms. Even that is only to a certain extent. Mokli Cheon Sa too is someone who ascended from the head realm, a veteran powerhouse of 100 battles. Moreover, she is a woman of terrifying talent who, wandering as one of the mountain and rivers, reached the nascent soul stage. The opportunities she obtained are not just one or two, and the experience she accumulated is not to be taken lightly. Then there is only one thing I can do. Keying, when the divine power of cutting principle is prepared to its peak. At last, my eyes gleam as I call forth my highest fighting power. Come forth, General Seo. Below, the wooden box that Hong Fan kept on standby opens, and from there a gigantic shadow appears and begins to suck in the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the area. As for the power source, I had neither time nor connections to procure one. Even so, it is a work that allows to manifest the power of a 4-axis stage cultivator for an instant. Click 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 click. General Seo opens its mouth and prepares a 4-axis level beam cannon. Mokli Cheon Sa, perhaps recognizing that, has her eyes go wide. Grinding her teeth, She begins to draw up every power, whether she has it or not. I feel her draw upon true essence and even consume her lifespan in 10-year chunks. But in the end, it is useless. Flash. General Seo's beam cannon envelops Mokli Cheon-sa, who is facing the heavenly tribulation, and I seize that moment to unleash the divine power of cutting principle. The line of cutting principle pierces the heavenly tribulation and reaches Mokli Cheon-sa, boring through the power deep within her spirit. Ah, only now that I can see the net do I understand how a connection is composed, and in what manner it can be cut. Even if I cannot know the true principle completely, I become able to internalize the knack of how a person's heart cuts and attaches connections. Kwaik, the faint affection, trust, hatred, sense of betrayal, and such that Mokli Cheon-sa holds toward me are cleanly cut away. Because she is facing the heavenly tribulation, I do not suppress her spirit. I only cut the connection and halt General Seo's attack. Of course, even with that brief beam cannon, nearly 8/10 of the spirit stones I embed in General Seo are exhausted, so there is hardly any power left anyway. KK. Just from that brief attack, Mokli Cheon-sa becomes a hideous sight with not only her defensive Dharma treasure and the treasure garment she wears stripped away, but even her skin peeled. Even in that state, she still withstands the heavenly tribulation. Looking at her, nearly having lost her reason, I offer a bow of the head toward her from midair. Thank you for everything up to now. Knowing what I have done, I cannot bring myself to utter the word master any longer, and of course I cannot call her fellow Taoist either. I simply offer a brief greeting. Cultivator Mokli. The connection with Mokli Cheon-sa is cut as well. Even while having lost reason, Mokli Cheon-sa is expending her true origin as she blocks the heavenly tribulation, reaching the heavenly being stage. From her spirit eye, the great sea eyes, a powerful force surges up, and a blue protective barrier like a wave-crashing great sea supports her. I do not know how she obtains such a postnatal spirit eye, but judging by the ability of the spirit eye she displays, it does not seem to lose something like the heavenly golden thunder body or the ghostly yin transformation immortal root. I turn around. From behind comes the sound of her heavenly tribulation nearing its end. Listening to that heavenly tribulation, for some reason, I feel that the power of Indra's net. That the power of connection resembles heavenly tribulation far too much. To sever connections, is it to sever heavenly tribulation? If so, is this star-extinguishing true chapter treating connection the same as heavenly tribulation? Or is the heavenly tribulation itself merely another manifestation of connection? But, if connection is heavenly tribulation and suffering, why does the severing of connection bring a pain stronger than the pain of undergoing heavenly tribulation? Is connection itself heavenly tribulation? Or is the severing of connection heavenly tribulation? Amid those peculiar topics, sensing the pain given by the loss of connection, I perceive the net that composes this world. That is, as I feel my eyes that see the world's law of causality becoming a little clearer, I begin preparations to leave Red Moon Island. Present. Flash. 2101st cycle. I perceive once again that I have settled into a new time point. But before there is any chance to settle into the new time point, Hong Fan grasps the void. Shiver. All of us realize within that grasping act what he has grasped. Immortal cultivation is not a stage where one learns immortal art. Immortal cultivation itself is someone's immortal art. Master once said such a thing. Yes, immortal cultivation is someone's immortal art. And according to what we have investigated until now, that someone is none other than the First Radiance Supreme Deity. That's right, the being before our eyes is the owner of immortal cultivation. Cooing. The spiritual power, the heaven and earth spiritual energy, the authorities, the divine powers we have accumulated. In an instant, all of it briefly stops. However, at that very moment, patchy red lightning surges, and the lightning engulfs us and weaves some kind of net. I, in the name of the owner of heavenly punishment, command. Pajik, Pajijijik, Jaeon Myong-hoon, whose hope was directly broken by Hong Fan and whose face is dyed with terror, even while his body trembles in fear, stretches his hand into the void. The law of causality shall judge the owner of heaven defiance. Red lightning heavenly tribulation, Indra's net, Kururururung. The surrounding space transforms into a world of nets made of heavenly lightning. At the same time, the law of causality, which until now has obediently been sucked only into Hong Fan's darkness world, starts to rampage madly and resist. While facing Dugon, I received an enlightenment regarding the root of heavenly punishment. Pachijik. Lightning flows in his eyes. The essence of lightning is an instant. Our lives are also an instant. Within that instant, what yin and yang tied together is precisely connection. Therefore, the essence of heavenly tribulation is connection. He is clearly trembling, yet even so, he is clearly uttering what he has to say toward Hong Fan. And connection acting as tribulation, is immortal cultivation. Thus, O owner of immortal cultivation, Yururururung, from his throat, a powerful divine power begins to burst out. Is your immortal cultivation, resistance against connection. Thunderous voice rebukes the non-human Lei Sheng Kai Fei Ren. The peal of thunder scolds the extreme of the non-human heretical path Fei Ren Wai Dao existing before our eyes. Just how in the world can you think that the connections that link person to person are wrong? Kurururung. The power of Indra's net becomes the clapping of thunder and lightning and engulfs Hong Fan. However, after a short while, that power of thunder and lightning is, in an instant, drawn into the darkness that unfolds centered on Hong Fan. It is sucked into the darkness world. If so, are connections right? A voice echoes from within the darkness. Immortal cultivation is the highest mantra created by taking and developing the enlightenment of severing connection from the darkness world. Deep within the darkness, he floats the origin essence of light above his left hand. That figure seems as if he is the sole God shining alone within the darkness. If one seeks to stand purely alone and become complete, is that wrong? What, O child who wields heavenly punishment? I ask you, do you, when you reach that realm, truly need connections? Of cower, connections are something you can make when needed. Even without connections, you are already whole in and of yourselves. Truly, do you need connections? At those words of the owner of immortal cultivation, who holds light in his hand and looks down on us with emotionless eyes, I slowly let out a single sentence. O God of the heavens! Do you regard connections as suffering? An answer returns as silence. It means affirmation, and, through that affirmation, I at last become able to glimpse a part of the final objective of the future king. O future king, do you seek to create a world where connections do not exist? A world without connection, without emotion, without miracles. And at the same time, a world without any pain. Yes, a heaven where only hope alone fills all. Kugugugugugu. The audience chamber begins to twist. At the same time, the darkness shrouding the vicinity of the audience chamber begins to lift. The origin essence of light held in Hong Fan's hand sweeps away the darkness and begins to illuminate the surroundings of the audience chamber. A world in which one advances toward what one hopes for, not with a painful heart, but with cool-headed reason alone. Gradually, the below of the audience chamber is revealed. It is chaos. It is the outer sea that we know well. Inside that outer sea, something in the shape of an inverted cone is visible. It is Mount Sumeru, and inside that Mount Sumeru, something is seen. An existence being born by the overlapping of countless timelines. The gigantic baby, and from the sea of chaos that covers that baby, and the boundary of Kakravata that covers that sea. I see the boundary of nothingness. The audience chamber is a world that sits in the middle of that boundary of nothingness. And I realize that from the audience chamber, I can observe outside the boundary of Kakravata. The appearance of this world of Mount Sumeru is seen from the audience chamber. It feels like a single egg. This world is the cradle of chaos, the egg where the creator God is born, the conception palace of omnipotence. Land not yet created, a gestation world where no possibility is yet fixed. Kugugugugugu. In this infinite and empty world of possibilities, opening true creation. In the new world, applying new laws to eliminate what is called the heart. That is my first objective. I come to know the true purpose of the immortal cultivation system that until now has seemed to erase humanity. To erase the heart of people, and sublimate every being in this world into an existence saturated only with the desire called hope. That is one of the purposes of the Black King, who is possessed by the desire to cover the world with hope. A twisted desire. You have no right to judge. Emptiness sword, linked profundity, the black power that, when I used it, was nothing more than teeth and claws. That power flows out in a state of perfect restraint, taking on a soft shape as if ink diffusing into water. The first form and the second form are linked. The origin essence of light passes through the light of the radiance mantra, suppresses space-time again, and seals off auspicious soul filling the heavens. Immediately after, the ink begins to fly toward us. O heaven-defying one, if you have nothing more to show, then now, as prophesied, close your eyes. Devil King, the gentle ink surges in the form of a vertical stroke, splits the audience chamber, splits Mount Sumeru, splits the outer sea, and then at the boundary of Kakravata. It cleaves this colossal egg itself that is called the cradle of chaos into halves. Single strike. With a single cut, the heaven beyond heavens is split in half. Chapter 789 Protagonist, Zhu Rengong 4. In a far-off past. In the days when I was nothing more than an ordinary mortal being. I once saw a Buddhist nun. That Buddhist nun went around helping people with good deeds even though it brought no benefit. At times with a shaven head, and at times with grown hair because there was no chance to cut it, she wandered the world and continued her good deeds. Why was it? That sight of her endlessly helping people. It also looked as if she craved something. I asked her what she was seeking, and she answered, Tao. I walk the world to obtain the true Tao. Such a her looked so beautiful to me. She said that until she attained enlightenment, she would share affection with no one. And yet, why was it? Such a thing did not matter. I, whose blood always boiled and embraced regardless of man or woman, felt that with her, I must not recklessly apply such a measure. I did everything I could to draw closer to her. I cut desire out of myself and created everything imaginable. However, I, to the very end, could not know what the Tao she wanted was. I could not make what she wanted. Perhaps, even if I devoted my whole life, it felt like it may be my fate to never satisfy her heart. But even so, it did not matter. Even if I devoted my life and achieved nothing, it did not matter. Just once, if only once, I succeeded in opening the path before her. A mere life in which I do not even know what the Tao is. I could throw it all away. 16th cycle. Riding on the back of General Seo, I feel a powerful being tailing us as I leave Red Moon Island. Goo. It is the owner of the gaze that always watches Red Moon Island. Stop. The great inspector who oversees and monitors the entire human race territory. The integration stage grand cultivator, Wei Ryong Son. The being who scatters countless clones to watch all the Sky Island areas begins to send his will toward me. After the half-step heavenly being stage, is it immediately the integration stage? I give a bitter smile, and without even looking back, I immediately spur the 4-axis stage General Seo to accelerate even harder. Quagwagwawong. Only 2/10 of power remain, so attacking is impossible, but moving at the speed of a 4-axis stage cultivator is possible. And from far away, a clone of Wei Ryong Son flies toward me. A clone of heavenly being stage cultivation. Just one clone is a heavenly being, that is an integration stage grand cultivator. It is a fearsome realm. Moreover, the heavenly being stage clone should carry the enlightenment and battle experience of the integration stage, so its strength would not fall behind the 4-axis stage. Devilish cultivator Seo Un-yun of Red Moon Island, hear this. Because you use the techniques of the Heart Tribe, you must hereby be detained on suspicion of being a Heart Tribe spy. Submit peacefully to the bindings of the Human Race Grand Alliance. At the stern cry of Wei Ryong Son, I only drive General Seo faster. It seems that as I pierced the heavenly tribulation and used cutting principle, the formless sword briefly revealed itself. Goo. In the far distance, the edge of the Sky Island zone comes into view. I will go straight to the flying immortal platform like this. The cultivation of cutting principle proceeds in this way. At first, one whose ties are shallow. Next, one whose ties are slightly deep. Thus gradually cutting ties with those whose ties are deep, and in the end cutting ties with the world itself. Wo Wang. While riding General Seo and fleeing, I also send several strikes of cutting principle toward Wei Ryong Son who chases me. However, perhaps because even if inferior it is the split soul of an integration stage grand cultivator. I feel that no matter how many times I throw them, the effect of cutting principle is small. It doesn't matter. Since in any case I do not plan to stay in the bright cold realm in this life, if I drop away from the bright cold realm itself and cut my ties with the bright cold realm, my ties with Wei Ryong Son will naturally fall away as well. Of course, for now rather than cutting ties, it is only to the extent of cutting attention, so it will not make him forget me completely. Even so, before long it will be to the extent that he clears me completely from his mind. Goo. Continuing to send cutting principle toward Wei Ryong Son who keeps chasing me, I continue my cutting principle cultivation as we wage a chase for several days and nights. And at last, the Heaven-Earth Palace with the flying immortal platform comes into view. Goo. I sense the presence of powerful cultivators at the 4-axis stage and above from Heaven-Earth Palace, but I ignore it and execute a forced breakthrough. This is Star Extinguishing True Chapter. Perhaps because Wei Ryong Son sent word to seize the suspicious being that is me, several 4-axis stage inspectors appear from Heaven-Earth Palace and start to exert attraction force to capture me. I won't get caught. Anyway, being near Heaven-Earth Palace is enough. I see innumerable nets of connection and causality. I still cannot touch those nets. However, if it is only to pry through the gaps and slip out of the world. Suat. The formless sword wedges through the plane and cuts space. And beyond the slit of space, I observe the vulnerability of the bright cold realm's dimension that is revealed in Indra's net and move toward that gap. Kwaak, Pong, Yuu. A shout from behind by Wei Ryong Son reaches me, but I simply turn my back and put my palms together. In the deepest part of the Master's Tao heart, connect the divine power of cutting principle. Just as when Master reached the realm of treading heavens beyond the path, you connected the inner core and the formless sword. If Master connects cutting principle to Master's soul itself, knowledge about cutting principle that Hong Fan advised gets quickly digested, and I look upon the immeasurably vast connection that links the bright cold realm and me. The breaths I inhaled in the bright cold realm. Spiritual energy, rays of light. The earth I tread there, all the wonders I saw there. All of that is the connection that links me and the bright cold realm. Cut, Kuriririk, toward the principle of the connection that lies between my own spirit and the bright cold realm, I use the divine power of cutting principle and slice it. Of course, I still do not slice the principle itself. However, I manage to make the apparition of the principle a little blurry. And it seems that much is enough. Flash, outside the bright cold realm, I fall past the interdimensional void and, together with Hong Fan, head toward a place where a familiar attraction force is felt. As I see it, the best way to slow the curse of the true immortal of heavenly punishment is to go to a place where the true immortal of heavenly punishment's perception of Master is most delayed. If it is a place that where the perception is most delayed. A place where the traces of another true immortal are. The head realm, Kugugugu. Beyond the interdimensional void, I grasp what the attraction force that drags us is. It is a familiar attraction force. Back when I was in the head realm, it was also energy I felt so utterly sick and tired of. In the far distance, something that resembles a hard-to-recognize head seems to come into view. And the moment I perceive it, before I know it, Hong Fan and I find ourselves in a familiar sky. Kwaak, Kayak, Wadongtang. Tearing in from the interdimensional void into some space inside the head realm, we are flung into one spot inside that space. This place is. I squint and look around, and I soon know where this is. Serving Command Palace. Yes, the topmost floor of the head realm's Serving Command Palace. It is where the Serving Command Seal exists. It seems the attraction force of that Serving Command Seal pulled us in. Originally, they say that returning to the decaying corpse realm you originally came from at the nascent soul stage is like picking stars from the sky, but seeing that we returned this easily, it is probably due to this. Ah, I see. I realize how the Serving Command Seal helped us. From the beginning, Hong Fan is a being designated by the Serving Command Seal. The Serving Command Seal summoned heavenly fortune. Hong Fan also descended from the heavens under the influence of that heavenly fortune is the one expected to be the most necessary to me. Since the one the heavens send through the Serving Command Seal is Hong Fan, the Serving Command Seal may have strongly pulled in the existence called Hong Fan. Thanks to that, it seems we arrived in the head realm more easily than expected. General CO was almost unnecessary. Haha, we are quite lucky. Normally, we would have had to avoid the vestiges of the interdimensional void and descend over several days while fighting with a 4-axis stage puppet, but we descended to the head realm in an instant without consuming much of General Seo's durability. It feels like heavenly fortune is following. The heavens that always drove me into extreme environments seem, this time, to take my side a little. I smile as I look at the Serving Command Seal before my eyes. Immortal Treasure Serving Command Seal. Why is it? I strongly feel that this thing called an immortal treasure is alive and deliberately helped us. Thank you for designating the connection that is Hong Fan, and again helping us with heavenly fortune. As I offer that brief thanks, I examine the curse within my body. Indeed, the speed at which the curse of lightning transformation progresses has decreased. At this level, on the assumption that I live only in the head realm, it seems I can endure 500 years. 500 years in the head realm. If I continue progressing in the divine power of cutting principle, surely, there may be a possibility. If it were another method, I would not speak like this. But this method called the Star Extinguishing True Chapter suits me better than any other method. If it were an ordinary method, it would be nothing more than me setting a target value, but the Star Extinguishing True Chapter is different. It truly feels like there is a possibility. Master, it seems you have now reached the realm where the net is visible. That's right. The shape of the net, is visible. As I attempt to exit the serving command palace, I converse with Hong Fan about the progress of the star extinguishing true chapter. In that case, rather than earnestly cutting connections, how about Master makes it his goal to cut the law itself? Cut the law, I ask again in disbelief, but Hong Fan nods with a serious tone. I am not speaking of something like the principles of the world. Just trying to cut a few simple principles that apply to Master. Conveniently as the serving command palace is helping, it will probably go well, no. The serving command palace. Ah, right. The serving command palace with the serving command seal is also called Liberation Palace, and it is said to possess the ability to release prohibitions nearby. The very law called liberation exists in the serving command palace. If so, while leaving serving command palace, I cultivate by using cutting principle to cut the restrictions that bind me in serving command palace. That is correct. As the power of liberation and the cultivation of cutting principle interlock, Master will be able to advance the progress of the cutting principle cultivation even faster. Indeed, excellent, Hong Fan. I did not think to use the power of liberation itself from the serving command palace. My creativity did not reach it. Hong Fan filled in the parts one lack and helped me choose better options. Thank you, truly. From that day, I practice cutting the laws of prohibitions laid in the serving command palace, or I personally unfold a formation and lay prohibitions, then, borrowing the law of liberation, practice cutting the fundamental law of the prohibition itself. The cutting principle cultivation of the star extinguishing true chapter. Its progress rises very rapidly, and I gradually become accustomed to touching the fundamental law. And one day, I finally succeed in perfectly using the law of liberation itself. Shukagagak. As the power of liberation is added for an instant to the line of cutting principle, I ignore all prohibitions laid inside the Liberation Palace and move outside Liberation Palace in a flash. Huff. A truly immense marvel, a transcendent method that touches fundamental laws. That is precisely the star extinguishing true chapter. At the same time, I realize something. The moment I cut the law of prohibition by the power of liberation, I felt something. It was like the attention of the faint connections I severed countless times when I was in the bright cold realm. In the law of liberation, there is the heart. At this strange sensation I feel for the first time, I look back at the Liberation Palace. The Liberation Palace drifting through the void space of the head realm. At the center of that Liberation Palace, the seal called the serving command. Seal contains a powerful law of liberation. At the same time, from that law of liberation, I seem to feel a certain heart. Is this also a coincidence? Or is it someone's intention? On the first day I apply the law of liberation to cutting principle. I shudder as I feel the intense heart felt from Liberation Palace. What in the world is this heart? Who on earth is the maker of the Liberation Palace? Just who are they, that they breathed such a powerful heart into a liberation seal that is no more than an object? And, for what reason, did they harbor such a desperate heart? The wave of heart I feel from Liberation Palace is something like an obsession close to madness, similar to the heart with which I once prayed in desperation to kill Yuan Li. For a long time, without knowing whether it is coincidence or guidance, until that wave of heart I came to feel by chance can no longer be felt, I look endlessly at the Liberation Palace. And I only think about the maker who created Liberation Palace. Present, heaven and earth divide into two. I am not simply speaking of the sky and ground. The world itself that all of us have known until now is split apart. A divine technique that surpasses by thousands of times the strike with which I barely surpassed the Great Mountain Supreme Deity in the Great Mountain Battle and scratched the boundary of Kakravada. By that divine technique, the entire boundary of Kakravada is torn away, and the scenery of outside enters the eyes of all governing immortals including me. Some glittering presences with a feeling far too remote exist beyond the dense void. And in between, a wind called Varamba Wind Pai Lan Feng, which appears when a heavenly domain is generated, blows in. Wo Wang. Before I know it, a golden silhouette that escapes from the impermanence sword looks toward somewhere beyond the Varamba Wind, far across the void. In that far-off place, a ray of shining light enters his eyes, enters all our eyes. From the scenery of outside beyond the domain of Kakravada, a familiar nostalgia is reflected. It is the nostalgia of Earth. I can tell instinctively. The dimension where the earth we lived in. It exists beyond those glittering worlds. Suat. Seeing that, we all firm our sentiments. Hong Fan, seeing us like that, lifts the sword. As if asking, do you think you can go back? No answer is needed. The single strike just now is something we barely evaded by combining golden great thousand world and auspicious soul filling the heavens, plus heavenly escape and Oyun Sok's primal chaos world. Kim Young-hoon speaks. It is as he says. Only by combining each of our martial pinnacles and even adding heavenly escape and Oyun Sok's authority could we barely let that radiant strike pass through. However, Hong Fan is a monster who evolves with each single move. The evasion method we just used will no longer work. We can't keep dodging. We have to face it. Do you have a combination in mind? For that, I ask you, Hung Nim. I will compose the breaking formula. In the end, to defeat Hong Fan, we have to join forces. I begin to pour my all into analyzing the martial arts of the emptiness sword, reinterpreting them, and devising a breaking formula, while Kim Young-hoon begins to pour his all into composing combinations that, through the combination of his martial arts and mine, can deflect or counter Hong Fan's attacks. Immediately after, Hong Fan moves the Emptiness Sword. Emptiness Sword 6th form, Future, P-Bong, including me, Kim Young-hoon and our comrades are annihilated in a single blow. But as we pass into the 2102nd, I can at last discern the essence of Future. Acceleration, is it? The base. Speed being speed of undying, that is Future King Fate Supreme Deity Hong Fan Ji-Yu-Ju. And accelerating one step more from the state of undying. That is the essence of the true martial art Emptiness Sword's 6th form, Future. Only after dying several times do I roughly grasp the composition of the Emptiness Sword. The basic composition that I grasp is as follows. First form, 0, a killing technique that maximizes scraping, extending even to cutting, tearing, and ripping. Second form, King, a killing technique that maximizes downward slash, displaying great force by using the power of attraction force itself. Third form, Light, a killing technique that maximizes coiling force, Chan Si-jin digging into rotation of force itself. Fourth form, Heaven, a killing technique that maximizes upward slash, attaining a property that transcends space-time through repulsive force by inverting attraction force. Fifth form, Upper, a killing technique that maximizes force emission, Fa-jin expanding the concept even to throwing techniques that shoot out force. Sixth form, Future. It appears to be a technique that maximizes acceleration, becoming even faster than a state of having reached the domain of undying. I still cannot know the detailed principle. And the final profundity of the Emptiness Sword, the 7th form, Hope. This is still impossible to analyze. I cannot even tell what kind of property that is. The only certain thing is that Hope, despite being a mere decisive move, is alive. Possessing a living characteristic, it holds a trait that, once its first target is marked, it pursues to the end and kills. It is something that can be called a martial doctrine that transcends martial doctrines. Based on the above basic forms, it appears to use applied decisive techniques or applied profundities through using the basic forms innumerable times or drawing the power out to the extreme. And the terror of the Emptiness Sword is that, while linking the above forms with applied decisive techniques and profundities, it shows infinite combinations. I think like a madman on the weaknesses of the Emptiness Sword and breaking formulas, and on Kim Young-hoon's side, he devises combinations of decisive techniques to attack Hong Fan Ji-Yu-Ju. And, each gripping our sword and saber, we take a step forward. The gold sword and the silver sword are raised and aimed at Hong Fan Ji-Yu-Ju. In an instant, we take our step. Clang, Kong Min-hee constrains our ranks, and once again drags Hong Fan Ji-Yu-Ju's whole body down into the realm of the physical. And within the familiar world of the physical, our martial arts begin to encircle Hong Fan. I am defense, Kim Young-hoon is offense. We together form a Taiji formation and surround Hong Fan, unleashing attacks. Keying, apex of movement techniques. True martial arts, Black Heaven. As the movement technique that reaches true martial arts is performed, Hyeon Mu's divine method, faster than Kim Young-hoon, takes our rear. However, we also have a technique reaches a fragment of true martial arts. Heavenly escape. Keying. At the moment the rear is taken by the true martial arts Black Heaven, I hide our presence with heavenly escape and conceal the body, and Hong Fan begins to use a wide area technique with an expressionless face. Splitting Heaven. Kugugugu. Pure white radiance blooms from his hand, and the entire area of the audience chamber is torn away. However, even before that absolute violence, Kim Young-hoon and I do not yield and keep pressing Hong Fan. Hong Fan mutters as he looks at Kim Young-hoon. Why has a soul still not arisen? This generation truly is full of errors. Yes, in Kim Young-hoon, something one could call a soul has still not appeared. Even though he audiences the future King Fate Supreme Deity. Well again, miracles are always irrational and unequal. Wu Wang, the emptiness sword resonates. At the same time, a chilling sense throughout my whole body rings an alarm. Emptiness sword third form. Applied profundity. Wu Wang, the origin essence of light settles in the emptiness sword. The emptiness sword, merged with the origin essence itself, brightly dyes heaven, earth and the heavens above, boiling the surroundings. Light whirls around Hong Fan as the center. And immediately after, bright Ming, heaven and earth brighten, and within the surging light, without even time to fully dodge surging strikes of slashes, Kim Young-hoon and I are shredded and killed. Somehow, I feel drowsy and in a daze. However, I confirm that my consciousness still remains. Even though not only the true body but the prophecies and the heavenly domain itself are shredded, my consciousness alone remains, aiming to resurrect. At that tenacious life force, Hong Fan looks at one strand of my consciousness and mutters. You are second only to Silver Basket in tenacity. He raises the emptiness sword. If I take his technique one more time like this, I will be completely annihilated. I can tell instinctively. However, I do not worry. Rather, through the single strand of consciousness, I slowly begin restoring the vanished body. It is not over yet. For I am not the only one on this battlefield. Flutter. A faint flapping sound is heard. It is Kim Yeon. She half opens her eyes in silence and looks somewhere. The place she looks at is none other than the inside of the cage where the Western Heavenly Venerable, the Netherworld Queen Mother Bong Hwa is confined. And at some point, Wo Wang, Kim Yeon raises her hand. Something rises from above her hand. It flies in the shape of a small bird and begins to approach the cage. Perhaps noticing the sign, the future king's technique flies toward Kim Yeon even while it faces me and Kim Young-hoon. With each of those attacks, holes open in Kim Yeon's entire body, and the bird that rose from her hand staggers, yet the bird does not fall. The splitting heaven mantra flies in, and the technique of future flies in as well, but even after taking those terrifying techniques, the bird keeps flying. Only then does Hong Fan sense something, turning his gaze to Kim Yeon as his face starts to twitch. Vast cold. Are you giving aid? You prepared a method to escape my sight, but will you truly be satisfied with expending that method on that child? Having realized something, Hong Fan raises his hand toward the void and mutters quietly. But it is foolish. With the level of Bong Myong's liberation law talent, it can never become the key. Wu Wang. Darkness blooms centered on Hong Fan, and the rank that Kong Min he constrained begins to be released again. He is again being released into a metaphysical existence. At the same time, the future king begins to use his authority. This amusement now bores me. If there are truly no more stories to be told, let us end. Wu Wang. Reality begins to shatter to pieces. At the same time, everyone present begins to feel it. The future is being rewritten. It is not merely on the level of history rewriting that the underworld and I do. Reality twists, and the scene of the next moment is engraved into everyone's mind. With no causality at all, a future in which all the heavenly kings gathered or cleanly beheaded is fixed. Just like when Oh Yun Sok was made into an egg, a reality manipulation that needs no causality of any kind. The authority of future rewrite begins to be properly exerted. Thus, in the next moment, all of us are to have all heads cut off and, with no way for auspicious soul filling the heavens to save us, die. But Hong Fan and I, in an instant, feel the energy of a different existence that intrudes upon our battlefield, and we look at them. That existence inhabits Oh Yun Sok's body and sheds silver light from the eyes. Silver Basket, O hollow god who has lost the qualification of creation. I do not feel the need to insult you again and again. Return to Mount Sumeru. If you are to be buried inside the cradle of chaos, I will not defile you with my own hand. O great owner of fate, you are one close to omnipotence, but you are not all-knowing. How arrogant. Your complacency grants us possibility. Do you hope for possibility? Quote. Silver Basket, possessing Oh Yun Sok's body, glares silently at Hong Fan and speaks. I too am an ender. Thus, I too can cause a miracle. O vagrant of absolute origin who has fallen into thievery. Do not dare to usurp what is mine. Do I truly need to show you for you to believe? Silver Basket seems bitter at Hong Fan's words. However, in an instant, flash, what Silver Basket has been subtly covering, the bird sent by Kim Yeon. The bird that Hong Fan called the Liberation Law Talent, begins to shine with an enormous halo of light. In an instant, through insight nearing on omniscience, Hong Fan perceives Silver Basket's stratagem and lifts the emptiness sword. True martial arts emptiness sword, final profundity. Hope, flash. By hope, Even as Silver Basket's spirit is torn to shreds, they draw out to maximum output Oh Yun-sok's fate, the power of primal chaos world, and through the dream, they swap the position of the liberation law talent with someone else who exists in a far different dimension. And the existence swapped with the liberation law talent, summoned by deceiving the eyes of the future king and arriving before the birdcage, is a bird shining in all of heaven's natural colors. The liberation supreme deity Gongmyo Cheon Sak. That great heavenly craftsman descends as the main body and meets eyes with the existence inside the birdcage. Immediately after, the will of Gongmyo Cheon Sak begins to spread inside the audience chamber. My mere life that does not even know what the Tao is. The symbol of the liberation supreme deity Gongmyo Cheon Sak. The symbol of the bird trapped in a birdcage rises above him. Soon, Gongmyo Cheon Sak and his symbol overlap. The symbol starts to shine, and upon the shackles that bind Bong Hwa, imprisoned inside the cage. One point of the shackles formed of the emptiness supreme deity resonates. Inside the emptiness supreme deity, within the serving command palace, the serving command seal shines brilliantly and exerts the authority of liberation. If it is for you, I can cast away everything. Bong Hwa gently closes her eyes. Jayak, Hong Fan, with expressionless eyes, perceives what the liberation supreme deity Gongmyo Cheon Sak has done. What was put inside the serving command seal was not the split soul, but the origin essence of liberation. Was it your very essence itself? Astonishing. To lay a stratagem of this degree within the body of Myung Won, the most distant from my gaze. I give my respect. He speaks toward Gongmyo Cheon Sak, to Bong Myung in a tone that seems slightly surprised, and he gives him time as if to offer respect. And at last, flash, the origin essence of liberation of the serving command palace bursts forth, and the entire body of Gongmyo Cheon Sak, assimilated with the symbol of the bird trapped in a cage, explodes. At the same time, the bird cage that imprisoned Bong Hwa bursts open together with the true body of Gongmyo Cheon Sak, and the shackle that restrained her is released. Thud, Bong Hwa, who was trapped in the birdcage, in the form of a small doll, begins to reveal herself. Her presence grows immense, and as soon as she steps out of the cage, she becomes vast enough to place the former supreme deity Gongmyo Cheon Sak on one hand and stroke him. Bong Hwa strokes the dying Gongmyo Cheon Sak and opens her mouth. I will remember. Please attain the Tao, O Imperial Venerable. Sa. With those words, Gongmyo Cheon Sak scatters into dust. The authority of the liberation supreme deity Gongmyo Cheon Sak, the owner of liberation, collides with the multicolored birdcage and keeps trying to liberate the something that is compressed into the form of the cage, and Hong Fan, perhaps as a gesture of respect, grants a reprieve and speaks. You have kept a loyal retainer, Hwea. While I was held by the emptiness supreme deity, I reread the histories that you tore away each time I came to the audience chamber. Have you read them again? I understand both your past and the beginning of the tale. I have read more history than you, so the advancement condition of the life supreme deity is satisfied. Do not advance, Hwea. Hong Fan, with eyes full of self-loathing, looks at Bong Hwa and speaks. Will I not have to tear you apart with my own hands yet again? However, Bong Hwa only smiles faintly. Oh pitiable one, this girl dares to report. This time will be different. You said so every time you came. As if words are unnecessary, Bong Hwa closes her mouth. Immediately after, she shouts. True to the name Western Heavenly Venerable, 3 shouts toward the west. Kuguguging. At the same time, her appearance begins to change. Her once tidy hair becomes disheveled. Her lower body changes to that of a leopard, her hands and feet grow jagged and large like those of a ferocious beast, and her teeth and gaze become a vicious visage. The Western Heavenly Venerable, the Netherworld Queen Mother properly reveals the true form of her Gandhara, and becomes death and darkness. She begins to transform into the very system of the cycle of reincarnation. And into her 2 hands, a golden aggregation of information is drawn. The origin essence of history, omniscience. The compendium of all knowledge and history gradually begins to become one with her. Seeing this, Hong Fan Ji Ju once again merely raises the emptiness sword. Emptiness sword, final profundity. Hope, rays of light surge like waves and sweep over Bong Hwa. Hong Fan stares at her expressionlessly. Once again, she is to be torn apart. As has happened many times before. But in the next moment, as if something else is caught in Hong Fan's insight, his eyes twitch. You are being a nuisance. Silver Basket, Wu Wang, centered on Oh Yun-sok's body, the spirit of Silver Basket, which has been torn into hundreds of strands, gathers power from the outside. The gods of the otherworlds are lending their power to Silver Basket. Mount Sumeru, 33rd Heaven, Audience Chamber. Before the audience of the king, the strange powers and chaotic deities that come from outside the cradle begin to intrude. Chapter 790 Protagonist, Zhu Rengong 5. Kuguging. Divine Providence tangles. Presences whose mere sight makes the chest tremble personally descend to this place. Suat. Borrowing the power of the myriad stars to restore the body, I at last. Finally, I can realize one of the answers I pondered for a long time. Baby. The colossal form of the baby I saw in the world beyond the timeline. Its true nature. I see. Absolute ones. Omnipotent beings. Those who take a single world line as their blood vessel. Creator gods. Divinities of infinite chaos and omnipotence. Outside Mount Sumeru, the earth we came from, Silver Basket, Obsidian, and so on. Creator gods of otherworlds where the very foundational principles of the world are entirely different reveal themselves in this place. They are true undying. Perhaps because I am a governing immortal, perceiving them itself is not a problem, but surely, if one is below great net immortal, one's very existence would shatter just by perceiving them, and even at immortal lord level one's eyes would hurt. Kung. However, what truly makes the chest throb is not their rank. Kung. So many. Each and every one is omnipotent, and there are far too many. Beings who would be omnipotent in their own world send incarnations to this Mount Sumeru and reveal fragments of omnipotence. And there are very many such beings. At a glance, they number in the dozens. The world is. I once had such a thought. Why do those who become supreme deities head to the audience chamber? Why, after becoming supreme deity and fully enjoying what there is to enjoy, do they not live as eternal undying rulers of the heavenly domains, but instead head outside and challenge the future king? It is this vast. Even if one lives as a supreme deity, after living for hundreds of millions, tens of billions, trillions of years and more, all feel it. Though one cannot know what lies outside this place called Mount Sumeru, surely, outside, there is a world broader than this. What the Radiance Hall says is nonsense, and, outside this world there are far too many other worlds that are so mysterious, beautiful, strange, and full of things to discover. One instinctively realizes it. The outside of this world is a different heaven and earth. If you think about it, isn't that so? I look upon those mysterious, strange, and awe-inspiring creator gods and feel it. The beings drawn in periodically from other worlds are those called the Enders, so what supreme deity would not be curious about the outside? The incarnations of the creator gods seem to explain the very foundations of their own worlds. Even one whose entire body is made of fire. Even one made of endless chaos. Even one composed of the cosmic great desolation itself. And even one who assumes the form of an ordinary stellar system. Through the insight of a supreme deity, as I peek into the worlds of the creator gods of otherworlds, I feel some emotion deep in my chest begin to throb. And, leaving such a me behind, the creator gods use power. In forms so bizarre that one cannot even guess their shapes, they block the front of Bonghua and each disperses the power of hope in her stead. As the authorities of a dozen or so creator gods overlay, hope slowly disperses and scatters. Seeing this, Hong Fan quietly asks Silver Basket, "To defeat me alone, how great a price have you paid? Even if they do not desire it, by the promise of gods, you must serve them. Then again, since you are the wanderer who has roamed countless dimensions, you must indeed know many entertainments to please them." O future king, do you not already know? It appears that, in order to summon those otherworld creator gods, Silver Basket, who is likewise originally a creator god of another world, took some considerable loss. To those who possess everything, what could I give to spark their interest? I am merely the pretext. They are beings who descended because they are intrigued by you in Mount Sumeru itself. They are all faces I see anew. Since I see no familiar creator gods, they are gods who are not old, are they? You have lured in nuisances with curiosity as bait. If it is 5 or 6, you can probably keep them briefly killed through your hope. But O future king, I have called them even at the cost of consuming the causality and legacies of high divinities I obtained while traveling innumerable otherworlds. So many beings have gathered to block your hope. Hong Fan sends a cold gaze toward Silver Basket, and Silver Basket, dwelling within O Yun Sok's body and restoring the spirit, smiles. What could you possibly do against this many gods of otherworlds? As if offering gratitude toward Silver Basket's soul, Bonghua bows her head toward the being resurrecting inside Oh Yun Sok. Hong Fan glances at such a Bonghua, then looks again at Silver Basket, and then opens his mouth toward the beings of the cosmic great desolation Yu Zhou Hong Huang who block them. Oh great gods, I do not wish to insult you. Then Hong Fan, with empty eyes, looks up at them and speaks. This place is the conception palace of omnipotence. The gestation world of a creator who has not yet completed creation. It is not a place for those who have already accomplished creation to come. I ask that you please leave. At a glance the tone is polite, yet at the same time proud. In response, the creator gods reveal anger. No, that is not it. I notice that it is not anger. It seems like pity, and also like joy, and also like sorrow. It is literally true chaos itself. OGODWHOHASFALLENINTODESPAIR. WEHAVEWATCHEDOVERTHOU. RATHER, THYCURRENTDEED. ISINDEFINITELYDELAYING. THEBIRTHOFACREATORGOD. DOSTTHOUTHINKWEWOULDKNOWNOT. OFTHEPREVIOUSGENERATIONWHECHOLEFTTHECRADLEANDSLEEPS. HOWCOULDTHOUKNOWNOTWHYTHYVIDEDTHIDEDTHIDEDTHIDETIOFATE, HISTORY, ANDMIRACLE. LETGOOFTHYOBSESSIONANDACCEPTITNATURALLY. EITHERLETGOANDFOLLOWTHEGEWILLOWFTHEPREVIOUSGENERATION. ORDEVOURALLTHREE. THOUACCOMPLISHINGCREATION. ISGREATERTHANTHERESULTOFTHYFOOLISHOBSESSION. DOSTTHOUTRULYNOTKNOW. Countless wills resonate in wondrous and bizarre ways and deliver to the future king. Why is it, even though they are beings who violently invaded the world at Silver Basket's request, from them I feel a sign as if they worry about the future king. And, while receiving the sympathy of innumerable absolute ones, he grips the emptiness sword. O young absolute ones, your opening of creation comes after my birth. Believing only in rank while invoking the former generation, what do you know that you would dare preach to me? Judging by the tone, he seems angry, yet the wave of will I feel from him is rather one of contempt. ORDEROFTIMEANDSUCH. HAVENOMEANINGTOTHEOMNIPOTENT. DOSTTHOUTRULYNOTKNOW. Omniscient and omnipotent ones on your own ground. Are you truly ignorant of the result of violating my taboo and coming here? The speech yan of divine beings and the physical voice of a mortal being collide in the void. And yet, why is it? Surely those beings are of a rank so high that even I, the star Genesis Supreme Deity, cannot properly read their speech, and yet I feel that the future king's will, spoken out as nothing but an ordinary voice, is all the more chilling and baleful. O young creators, are you truly ignorant of why the ancient creator gods do not violate my taboo and, even at Silver Basket's request, do not descend? Thud, breath, begins to caught, even to me, who fully restored the true body of the star Genesis Supreme Deity, can tell that something I cannot perceive is beginning to bloom from the true body of the future king, the Fate Supreme Deity Hong Fan Ji Yu Ju. Just then, Silver Basket, who barely stitched the spirit together by borrowing the energy of the origin essence of life through Bonghua, begins to let out a lamentation unbefitting a creator god of another world. Lament, and lament, and lament again. O future king, do you truly not know why, despite making such a sacrifice, I am in this place? The future king ignores that cry and starts to reach out his hand. Woo, those far distant otherworlds. The other creator gods who do not descend into this gestational world called Mount Sumeru all at once wail in grief and numb heaviness and begin to move their own worlds. Many of the lights that shine beyond the void and the Varamba wind begin to flee, as if they do not want to be caught up in it. Here, the creator gods of otherworlds who descended through Silver Basket begin to exert the power of their omniscient and omnipotent Quan Ji Quan Nang might, pressuring Hong Fan Ji Ju. The endless chaos and omnipotent power that originate from them cover him. Silver Basket begins to wail. For the sake of what you call hope, how long do you intend to carry on this painful story? Hope that pushes every being of a world that has not yet been born, including yourself, into hell. What meaning does it have? Why do they wail? Because they fear Hong Fan? No, that is not it. That is pity. Do you not know how deeply those who watch over you pity you? They pity the future king and feels endless compassion for him. True martial arts emptiness sword. Linked profundity. Throwing technique. An upward cleave that uses repulsion force. Accelerating technique. A downward cleave that uses attraction force. The ultimate techniques of the emptiness sword combine in an instant and are born as a baleful killing art. Upper Heaven Future King. Within the authorities of creator gods, Hong Fan Ji Ju, who takes the stance of throwing, begins to throw something. It is not the emptiness sword. It is. Just how long do you intend to continue that horrific divine art? It is a transcendent something that I cannot even begin to perceive. The power of transcendence that is called Great Mantra, are also called divine arts. That is cast through the combination formula of the emptiness sword, pierces the incarnate bodies of the creator gods, leaps beyond the void, and flies out to cause the collapse of a single world beyond the void in a single strike. At the same time, one creator god in the vicinity disappears. The cause and effect are unknown, but through insight it is possible to infer. At that very moment, a creator god, world and all, was skewered and killed by the future king's divine art. That is the beginning. Tukwang, Tukwang, Tukwang. The future king fate supreme deity, tearing the authorities of the creator gods apart with mere movement, begins to throw something. Each time that unperceivable thing called divine art is thrown, one world is pierced and meets annihilation. And the chief divinity at the center of that world, the ruler who governs the single world, the absolute one, the omnipotent one, the creator god, is torn and killed. He brings collapse to worlds. He brings annihilation to worlds. He brings the end to worlds. He brings ruination to worlds. He brings massacre to absolute beings. He executes them. He exterminates them. What on earth could one call it? In that ghastly and hideous revel of killing, feeling inexpressible terror and pain, we can only watch as countless worlds and creator gods turn to powder before they can even react. The creator gods are being massacred. Before that appalling killing power, everyone except Bonghua only stares blankly at the scene. Even Silver Basket and I, for a brief moment, lose even the will to resist that appalling absolute authority and can only stand with mouths agape. Wu, the creator gods wail. Jiang, the wails of beings who create and annihilate worlds with a single word. Their cry brings pain even to us who have nothing to do with them, our chests ache, and a bitterness of having lost a world invades the mind and delivers suffering. They grant, by sound alone, emotions so fierce and terrifying even to governing immortals. That is the wail of the creator gods. And the terrifying wail at a glance also seems to be a wail from the pain of their worlds perishing and their very beings being torn to shreds. Yet, I can tell. They do not simply wail for that. They are pitying the future king. Whisper, 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 whisper. As the absolute ones fade, they whisper. Even as they themselves go to their deaths, as if such a thing does not concern them at all. Wholly pitying and blessing the future king. Please do not take the long road back but find the answer. Pitiful and poor Hong Fan Ju, I shed tears at the pain you suffered. I give my blessing that you find the answer and pray that you find salvation. Someday escape and be freed from the dreadful and foolish bridle of pain you once threw upon us. I sincerely pray that you yourself are liberated. Empathy. They, even as they die by Hong Fan Ji Ju, who destroys their own worlds and tears their true bodies apart, feel pity and sorrow for him, and sincerely empathize with him. It is a strangeness that I cannot possibly understand. Sensing the bizarre and incomprehensible vested interests of the truly born absolute ones, I feel the song of their wailing subside. He, who destroyed the creator gods and tore apart dozens of worlds to powder, sits upon the jade throne of the audience chamber. At the same time, for the first time I can feel emotion from him. Hearing the horrible and agonizing screams and wails of the creator gods, and hearing the blessings and empathy imbued in them, does he feel some stirring of emotion? The emotion he shows for the first time. It is fatigue. Now, and Kim Young-hoon, who discerns him, shouts. If it is now, at least in speed, we can surpass him. What is obtained by emptying everything into emptiness is the apex of movement techniques of Hong Fan Ji Ju, true martial arts Black Heaven. The principle of void speed. However, in this moment when fatigue and wavering nest inside that heart, he has, for an instant, stepped out from perfect emptiness. At least for now, he cannot use void speed. And he also cannot use the ultimate technique that accelerates once more from void speed, future. If it is now, through Golden Great Thousand World, we can see superiority in speed. With Kim Young-hoon's shout, a familiar authority begins to bloom from one corner of the audience chamber. This is the origin essence of liberation inside the liberation seal of the Liberation Palace left by Bong Myong-freed Bong Hwa. And what he left behind does not end there. Pseudo-ender. Liberation law talent. What is called a pseudo-ender is no different from a pseudo-absolute fragment. Yes, he was truly a craftsman of the heavens. For it is he who, with his own hands, weaved principle, fate, and causality to create a pseudo-absolute. Clang, clang, the pseudo-absolute fragment flashes, becoming a shining key that releases something. The next moment, quang, light bursts forth, and from the cage that has until now imprisoned the heavenly venerable of the underworld Bong Hwa, 7-colored light sweeps the whole world. At the same time, inside that cluster of 7-colored light, the things that have been compressed into the form of a cage start to be liberated. This is because it fell a bit short to liberate Bong Hwa. The origin essence of liberation was detonated directly, yet it is a key sufficient to liberate something else. That key resonates with some being's immortal art and mixes with a silver cluster of light within primordial chaos. It is purple soul filling the heavens. Purple is the most suitable color to hide in the darkness. Carry on life in the darkness where light can never reach. By continuing the inherited life, we shall all finally reach liberation. The formula that Silver Basket created, as it touches the will of the Liberation Supreme Deity, reverses from that of an authority which is specialized in seizing another's body. It becomes not one that seizes another's flesh and oneself evolves, but one that sacrifices oneself, and revives the soul of the one whose self was stolen. The will of sacrifice of the Liberation Supreme Deity meshes with the will of Silver Basket and explodes the pseudo-absolute liberation law talent with purple soul filling the heavens. Those who are compressed into the form of a cage and confined begin to be liberated. Kung, kung, kung. On the face of Bong Hwa, who is truly advancing, a warm smile settles. Perhaps it is because there are several faces familiar to her. A gigantic silver body begins to recover, sucking in the spirits of Silver Basket that were torn away. A heavenly king of far-off primordial antiquity. The one who was called the Silver Basket Heavenly King descends to this place. Next, a being that exudes a presence second only to Silver Basket's ferocity opens their eyes. They are also of antiquity, known as the God of Gods. The one who was called the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King descends to this place. The last presence I feel is a being far too familiar. The moment Kim Yeon offers the true body she prepared in offering, they settle into that flesh and, compared to the others, awakens without any loss of power. The one who was called the Tridakna Vast Cold Heavenly King descends to this place. Led by those three beings, countless existences appear in this place. Red Pearl Yong Su Jin, Agate Seo Wu Jin, Lapis Lazuli Jung Sin, Obsidian Vinaya, Tridakna Shin, Gold Gugalana, beginning from existences so very familiar, to those whose names, authorities, and natal dharma treasures were seen in the past. And the Agate Hatred Heavenly King of the previous generation who has connections with us. From the heinous beings who provided the causality that gave birth to Seo Weol. To enders of the past generations at the level of mere mortal beings with no presence at all. Even to enders at the trivial mortal level who, upon arriving at the head realm, fell at once and died with their heads split on stone. All enders of all eras come back to life in this place and awaken in the audience chamber. Cooing. At the same time, Silver Basket stamps a foot and injects wisdom that explains the current situation to them all. Enders at the level of mere mortal beings, who are not even qualified to respond to that wisdom, all explode and die at once. However, perhaps judging that enders of that level will not even be of help, Silver Basket pays it no mind and points at me and declares. All of you, listen. Now, except for now, there is absolutely no chance in the future. Only now, when the first error that ripped apart the devil's fate with his hands is here in this place. Ooh. 4 among the 5 desires chain who were clearly torn to death by the splitting heaven mantra come back to life at a single touch of the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King, and without any time to grasp the situation. They join again and become a gigantic swallowing heaven. This is the only time when I can foresee the highest win rate called for pun. A soft pink radiance bursts out, and a gigantic light pink colossus begins to lift something up behind their back. longevity, wealth, health, love of virtue, acceptance at fate's end. The symbols of the 5 blessings radiate brilliantly in splendor and extend hands to the system of immortal cultivation that belongs to Hongfan Jiuju. Bring forth a miracle, O fragments of miracle. At Silver Basket's declaration, they all raise their momentum without words. Of course, the ones who regain rationality are at least enders of immortal lord rank. Enders of great net immortal and below, even though they receive wisdom and grasp the situation, for some reason only stand there with dazed eyes. Even so, empowered by Silver Basket's command, they begin to move and unfold their respective authorities. No one speaks. Single quote. So that is how it is. Those who uttered their fate. All who let their tongues slip lost the right to speak. Only Silver Basket, whose rank does not fall behind the future king, can utter words. Even so, their wills are clearly conveyed. Drawing out the morale of no retreat before battle, they all at once begin to walk toward the owner of fate seated on the jade throne. And Hong Fan lets out a sigh. I am tired. Wuduk. A mere sigh. With that alone, a repulsion force that is enough to briefly halt the movements of all enders of all eras arises and binds them. And, as I perceive the truths contained in that repulsion force, I realize one thing. Single quote. It was not that his strength was worn down while facing the creator gods. Only, the wails and shrieks of the creator's gods. The blessing and sympathy within them shook his heart, and only dug a little deeper into the crack that already exists in that heart. Therefore, only the stray thought that he is tired briefly revealed itself. Of course, with just that stray thought, one of his ultimate techniques that is a movement technique is sealed. But a stray thought is a stray thought. I should close my eyes for a moment. If he calms his heart just a little, it is something that will be tidied away at any time. He shuts his eyes and raises his hand. Attend to my hand. Storage scroll, emptiness supreme deity. The shackle that briefly sealed the heavenly venerable of the underworld, the netherworld Queen Mother Bonghua. The gatekeeper who tested us and the door that leads to the audience chamber. At the same time, the head realm, which has been harboring the Akashic records all this time, appears upon his hand and begins to open its mouth. That's right. To him, even an existence at the level of a supreme deity is merely something at the level of a storage scroll that stores things like the Akashic records. And, what is stored in the storage scroll is not only the Akashic records. Quararararik, the emptiness supreme deity Myongwoon opens its mouth and begins to pour something out. Kung, 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 kung. Wu, unlike the true body of Hong Fan Jiuju, from which nothing is felt, as those begin to descend, a baleful and terrifying aura begins to fill all heaven and earth. Ominous. Ominousness beyond ominousness. What appears before the numerous heavenly kings and enders of all eras is dozens of governing immortals. In other words, the supreme deities who have been devoured by the emptiness supreme deity until now. Dozens of supreme deities descend here and block the way before the enders of all eras. They have no reason, and only glare at us with black pupils and obey the command of the owner of fate. That is not the end. Kururu. Quote. Gang. Sphere. Kim. Younghoon mutters. Above the hand of Hong Fan Jiuju, something rotating appears. It looks like a 3 great ultimates formed by the gathering of countless thread-like things. And I once saw something that looked exactly the same as that in the past. Its name is Hyeon Emu's Gandhara. It is the symbol of black and 3 great ultimates, and the very existence of that being itself. Perhaps because he is tired, the moment he floats the black and 3 great ultimates above his hand, a wisp of wisdom leaks out and reveals its identity. Henceforth, this shall be called Gang. The power that martial artists obtain upon reaching a certain realm is Gang Chi. A name used in body protective Gang Chi, Sword Gang, Gang Sphere, and so on, and the power that cultivators call pure spiritual force. Named as Gang, the name of the Northern Dipper's Star of Death, it was a power that, because it signified the loftiest attainment in the martial world, was wielded by countless martial artists and came to be known as Gang Chi. Only now can I know who first attached the name Gang to Gang Chi. The pure death of the North Pole itself. Single quote. What we have been fighting is the Northern Heavenly Venerable, the true martial Great Emperor Hyeon Mu. No, perhaps even the Southern Heavenly Venerable, Time, and the Eastern Heavenly Venerable, Sal Tree. The heinous truth that what we have been calling Heavenly Venerables were merely tools into which a bit of history was breathed into the Gang Sphere clones of the future king. Reveals itself before my eyes. Kurururu. It is not a Gang Sphere clone. Unlike your gang's fears, I focused on killing, not stability and skill. He briefly spits out words, reading my thoughts. Surely, those pieces of information feel like mercy given to me who endures hope, and a kind of respect. But in the overwhelming disparity, even respect feels like mockery. I call it Gang Extreme. A 3 great ultimates of killing made of Gang Chi. That chilling vortex begins to rotate ominously and multiply. It is certainly more unstable than our gang's fear, and I feel it focuses on attack and killing. However, that is clearly an evolved form of Gang Chi like ours. Goo. As the 3 great ultimates of killing expands, their shapes grow distinct and solidify into forms we know. The Gandhara of the true martial great emperor Hyeon Mu. Yes, the Fate Supreme Deity's Gang Sphere clone. 50 heavenly venerables appear and begin to converge. For the rest of the story, if you are still standing when I open my eyes, I shall listen. With that, Hong Fan Ji Ju reclines on the jade throne and closes his eyes, entering meditation to settle his heart. An overwhelming gap that feels utterly unbreachable. However, despite that gap, I set my foot down. Kung, the true body of the Star Genesis Supreme Deity, takes a step toward that jade throne. Then, a silver giant takes another step at my side. Do not give up. Kung, beginning with Silver Basket, the Enders, awakened across eons, face the heavenly venerables and supreme deities. And beyond them, they begin to step toward the colossal jade throne. Kururururur, numerous black 3 great ultimates. One of the vortices of killing stands foremost and changes its appearance. It is a familiar figure. A girl in black martial attire. Thinking about it now, if wrinkles are drawn on that girl's face, it is the same face as Hong Fan's. With eyes filled entirely with self-loathing, that being opens her mouth. Give up. If I, who am merely a shard of a dream, am permitted this level of power against you, I have no way to lose. She slowly brings her hand to the ponytail that has been tied until now. Took. For the first time, Hyeon Mu tears off the something that has been tying her ponytail. Quareric. At the same time, Hyeon Mu's hair flows down like a waterfall. Just tearing off what has been tying the ponytail that had always seemed short makes it pour down wildly, making the sight look rather uncanny yet at the same time sacred. Shwa. Black hair covers the surroundings and forms a sea of darkness. It is a world of nothing. The interdimensional void. At the same time, the heart essence world of the owner of immortal cultivation where all middle realms reside. As the distinction between martial robes and hair grows faint in the darkness, that being raises the black something she has used as a weapon all this time. Only now that I am a supreme deity, only now that I truly stand upon martial pinnacle, can I know what Hyeon Mu has been using as a weapon. It is a leopard pattern hair ornament. A form quite similar to what Bong Hwa has been using. Amorphous darkness spews from it, becoming swords, spears, whips, arrows, and countless other forms of killing weapons with which she has been facing us with. I am merely playing with you as a gesture of respect for having come this far. Hope is even now evolving, and since there is no particular restriction, I could have unleashed indiscriminate barrages as much as I liked. At those grim words, Silver Basket seems to recall something unpleasant and flinches, and I smile faintly. I know, I have not properly used the power of fate, nor have I summoned a proper immortal treasure. I have also not used the first light which is called forth through the gathering of all the summoned supreme deities here around the radiant supreme deity. Great mantra, what you call divine art has also had its conditions long met, yet was used only to face the creator gods. The dead enforcement that once used, can annihilate all of you at once has also not properly been used. I know that as well. The time when I reached the ultimate of martial arts was the time before Nyuta. Across an unfathomable span of time, the one who has polished and evolved martial pinnacle is I. With the power of martial arts alone, I can butcher you all. With the use of proper immortal cultivation and mantras, authority and immortal treasures, just what chance of victory do you have? Only now can I perceive in more detail what reflects in those black pupils. Hyeon Mu is Hong Fan's shame. Only today, upon facing her, do I understand why Hyeon Mu insists on taking the form of a girl. You are the compassion that remains in Hong Fan. You are his softest part, and his last remaining humaneness. Only a defective product. No matter what form the heart takes, there is no such thing as defective. I smile brightly as I look at her and raise the impermanent sword. The power of the turning wheel mantra, the power of the origin essence of myriad stars, infuses into the impermanent sword, and the impermanent sword begins to shine with starlight. It feels as if a galaxy rests in my hand. You are merely the soft and gentle part. Nothing but the anguish that calls forth pain. So you are the anguish of the heavens. Hong Fan calls Hyeon Mu a defective product. And Hyeon Mu fears Hong Fan. He says making a world without the heart is his first goal. He says resisting the heart, resisting connection is a mortal cultivation. If one truly has a strong heart, then is it not the heart to accept without needing to resist? Hyeon Mu's pupils tremble. TSTSTSTs. The impermanent sword loses the form of a sword and becomes starlight that circles me. I take a step toward her. Hyeon Mu clenches her hand tightly. The hair ornament in her hand trembles. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. Countless exchanges pass between her and me, but nothing can truly bar my way. The void speed she boasts of is sealed thanks to the main body whose heart wavers, and the killing arts that unfold from Hyeon Mu's hand enter my sight fully thanks to my having seen of a higher level. At last, piercing through the countless unseen exchanges and moments of timing, I enter her boundary and reach my hand toward Hyeon Mu's chest. When the weakness is clear, where is the reason I cannot win, O heart of the heavens? With eyes filled with anguish. At the corner of Hyeon Mu's mouth, who has been pretending to be empty, a smile appears for the first time. It is a somewhat sad smile, and yet, her eyes are shining. Are you saying you can do it? And the answer comes from elsewhere. He can. TSTSTSTSTs. Wo Wang. At this place, a certain apparition appears. The owner of that apparition is the Southern Heavenly Venerable, the true ultimate eternal life Great Emperor Cheon Woon. The Heavenly Venerable of Time. It is the being called the owner of Calendrix. No other can do so, but he can. Hyeon Mu casts her gaze toward Cheon Woon. Only he can set you free. On what basis? Because I saw it. Only I, as the observer of Calendrix, remember together the 16th timeline. Quote. You. Hyeon Mu opens her mouth. You ran. You left. The cradle of chaos. The conception palace of omnipotence. You escaped from Mount Sumeru. Yes. I, shamefully, miserably, took advantage of the gap when the boundary of Kakravata is split in half, and am running away to find the freedom I so longed for. Cheon Woon smiles brightly. Of course, with your complete power, I can be captured. But not right now. Until the end of this battlefield, I can remain as a witness. A smile rises at the corner of Hyeon Mu's lips. Ah, I see. Until I capture you, the poison cannot be detoxified. That's right. So, Seo Eun-yun. Remember, now that all restraints are released, whatever causality there is, as long as I exist, the 16th cycle will be remembered, no matter what. Quote. My friend, thank you. The moment Hyeon Mu's words end, countless Gandharas swirl behind her and begin to unleash attacks toward me. You said let's dance, didn't you? Hyeon Mu begins to move through the lump of anguish grasped in her hand within the darkness. The supreme deities and Gandharas gradually move by Hyeon Mu's command and begin to exert their authority. Then prove it. Prove that your enlightenment stands ahead of hope. Wu Wang. Hyeon Mu's face disappears, and what remains is a swirling black three great ultimates. Beyond it, something reveals itself. The future king's storage scroll. The emptiness supreme deity opens its mouth. Hyeon Mu, inheriting the will of the future king, declares the opening of war and summons the future king's treasure. Come forth, the first immortal treasure of the heavens. Future king, 3 heavenly treasures. By the supreme deity's insight, I can tell. The original of the downgraded version the Radiance 8 immortals once showed. The first, the heavenly treasure corresponding to the Radiance supreme deity's purple forbidden alms bowl. Heavenly void furnace. Tuck, Duke. From the emptiness supreme deity's mouth, a familiar ground reveals itself again. Ascension path. And, within that ascension path, the thing that had been sealed in the form of land, by Yongsu Jin. Kugugugugu. All governing immortals until now have merely swung it about blindly, but the relic of the Absolute now begins to exert proper authority, under Hyeon Mu's will. 16th cycle. Kurlyric. Cutting principle unfolds from my hand. Just like a ship moving forward with the power of a fair wind, will, empowered by the heavenly fortune that the liberation seal draws in, becomes a slashing strike that cuts principle. Shukwagik. The principle within prohibition is severed. At some point, I become able to delve more intuitively into the world of the net. How is it, Master? Is there an effect? I look at the liberation seal that Hong Fan is holding. Indeed, the effect of what is called heavenly fortune is powerful. Overall luck improves. Not simply fortune, but starting from talent fortune, even health fortune and wealth fortune feel as if they rise further. With Hong Fan carrying the liberation seal that summons heavenly fortune and following me, the cultivation speed of cutting principle soars even faster. Feeling as if the heavens favor me, I rapidly cultivate the star-extinguishing true chapter. Hong Fan as well hones cultivation at my side with me, learning the three spirits art. It was one of the secret arts that became the original canvas of myriad forms and connections. Suat, Hong Fan's body seems to split into three, then merges back into one. It is the divine external incarnation secret art of the three spirits art. It is a secret art that splits realm and cultivation to later infuse it back in, with the drawback that one's realm lowers the instant it is learned, but somehow, even though Hong Fan splits his realm, before long he reaches the grand perfection core formation level. Soon the realms will reverse. Once he passes the nascent soul stage, from then on the real reversal will begin. With a slightly stifled heart, I gaze beyond the serving command palace into the void space that is nothing but darkness. I have experienced having my realm caught up to multiple times, but honestly it is not a pleasant feeling. Moreover, knowing that Hong Fan deliberately splits his realm with the three spirits art to slow the speed at which he catches up to my realm makes my mixed feelings grow even heavier. Recently those feelings have been growing and growing a little more, spreading even into a gloomy mood, so I have also been spending a little time reining in my heart demon. Perhaps knowing my heart, Hong Fan speaks behind me while holding the serving command seal. Since Master has cultivated for long, would you like to go on an outing? An outing. It is a good idea. Ordinary cultivators too, when their cultivation is blocked, often seek a shift in perception by wandering the world of mortals or traveling the 9 mountains and 8 seas. And in the midst of that, they also obtain fortuitous encounters. However, in the head realm, it is a little, the situation before ascending to the head realm is something I still remember. From Cheongman Ryong to Buk Hyunghwa, Seo Ran, and even Kim Young-hoon. The head realm is a place full of connections I painstakingly cut and left behind. What should I do if I meet precious connections while practicing the cultivation of cutting connections? If I do it wrong, the cultivation of cutting people might get all tangled. But as if reading my worry, he chuckles. Ha ha, Master, are you perhaps worried about meeting old connections in the head realm? That is, yes, that is right. Then how about going to a place untouched by the hands of people? A place untouched by the hands of people. Yes, Hong Fan seems to manipulate the serving command seal, then causes the serving command palace to deviate from its original orbit. Kugugugu. Soon, the serving command seal pierces the void space and reveals itself somewhere else. This place is Kugugugugu. It is a place familiar to me. A place that, despite being the lower realm, possesses a density of heaven and earth spiritual energy similar to a middle realm. It is Ascension Path. Ah, yes, with clear eyes, I jump down toward Ascension Path. It's a good idea. Certainly, if it is Ascension Path where people's hands do not readily reach, it seems good to refresh my mood under the clear sky, tidying my heart with less worry. I descend to Ascension Path. Hio, the wind of Ascension Path greets me. And, unlike before, I discover something a little different in Ascension Path. The Sky Islands of the Sky Island Archipelago are different. If the Sky Islands of the Sky Island Archipelago are being supported by the Grand Cultivator Association's fixed, floating technique. Ascension Path is different. The dragon vein of Ascension Path itself. It has the appearance of sealing something. The knowledge I accumulated from being dragged around by the Mad Lord in the Middle Realm, building experience as a governor in the True Devil Realm, and picking up various bits of information besides Coal, makes me recognize that fact even more clearly. Thinking about it, it is so. The barrier surrounding the entirety of Ascension Path also blocks ordinary people or cultivators below a certain realm from perceiving Ascension Path and from entering and exiting. The one who made Ascension Path. Yang Soo-jin obviously kept others from coming to Ascension Path. Ascension Path is not floating by itself. Rather, the thing that Ascension Path is sealing is floating by itself, and Ascension Path is just attached there. I suddenly grow curious about what is sealed in Ascension Path. What is it for Yang Soo-jin to seal it? Perhaps, even inside there, Yang Soo-jin's lingering thought remains. If so, I may be able to meet Yang Soo-jin's lingering thought again and seek advice on how to resolve my current state. Since Shattered Heaven Peak is a place where traces of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect remain, I don't know how the curse of the heavenly punishment true immortal will flare up if I go. A curiosity that arises suddenly. And at the same time, a strange confidence that, because I have the liberation seal and heavenly fortune itself increased, it cannot be a wrong judgment. With those overlapping, I make up my mind to try to see what is sealed inside Ascension Path in this lifetime.